everyone, welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. It's I, Captain Logan, and joining me as always, it's my wonderful chat moderator and producer, DJ Martinez.
A little sing-song intro there.
Yeah, well, so you know what? Somebody on the most recent episode of, hold on, my gain is really high. I'm trying to fix it. It's like I'm clipping at the tops.
Clipping Logan makes his return.
Yeah, I sound like the audience is getting drive-through. No, somebody on the live show last night, or put a comment after the fact on the Superhero Rewind, said, "I don't like it when you sing."
So it's an all acapella show tonight, guys.
I do like singing. I can't help it. My apologies, but I don't know. I'm being a rebel. I'm like, okay, oh, really? Well, then I'm gonna say no. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Did you sing during the rewind? Is that why you said that?
Well, I was talking about a melody in the score, so I hummed a bit of the melody, and the guy was like, "I don't like it when you sing." Everybody, welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. It's Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. We're going to talk some more about James Gunn taking over for DC Films, now DC Studios. We're going to speculate a little bit about what he might be doing. We're going to speculate a bit about what he might be doing with the franchises there, and there's some talk about some big project that's supposed to be one of the biggest things that's ever happened in superhero movies. We're going to try to guess at what that might be and talk a little bit about what spoilers are out for that right now. There is a quote from Jason Momoa that's been making rounds, and there's even some breaking news that I found out about just moments before we started broadcasting related to all of this. So that's going to be the lead-in topic tonight. If you want to make sure that your question or comment, concern, idea, notion is discussed on air tonight, it can be about the lead-in topic or anything else under the sun within reason. We mostly like to talk about pop culture and geeky stuff here. Of course, you can leave a super chat in any dollar amount, and that guarantees that we'll talk about your thing, whatever your thing is. Or you can leave a regular comment, and we'll try to get to as many of those as possible as well. Make sure to tag DJ Martinez, because he's the comment reading guy. That's why he's here. That's why I pay him the mediocre bucks. You can tag DJ at DJ Martinez, at The Welder, or at Hair is Coiffed. He will answer to any of those things and more, I'm sure. How long do you spend on your hair in the morning? It looks really good today.
That's quite hilarious that you say that, because I am playing house nurse and chauffeur and cook and cleaner and maid and everything today, because my whole family is sick and I didn't get a chance to shower today, so I was kind of self-conscious about it.
Wow. No, you look really good.
Well,
now you're going to wonder the whole
it.
show if you actually look terrible, and I'm like pointing it out so you'll feel better about it. Like,
that's what I'm thinking.
Reverse psychology or something. Is the word quaff or is it coiffed? I'm self-conscious now about my pronunciation.
I think there's a T. Word. I'll do my moderator research while you're talking and figure out what the word is.
Well, I appreciate it. Anyway, so we'll do Ask Me Anything like we always do right after the lead-in topic. Hey, it's a big week this week on Geekvolution. We're reviewing not one but two big movies that just came out, because one of the movies that we're doing this week dropped earlier than it was supposed to, or than I read that it was supposed to. Weird, the Al Yankovic story, came out on Roku for free. You can watch it right now. I mean, don't watch it right now if you're watching this. You can, but it'd be cool if you stuck around with us, and you can do it later. It's only an hour and 40 minutes. It won't keep you up all night. You can watch that Roku, their streaming service, for free, and we're going to talk about that on Friday, but it actually dropped last Friday. It was supposed to be the 8th. Everything I read was it's coming out Wednesday, or I guess today actually is the 8th. I thought it was Wednesday this week, Tuesday this week, but no, it's out already. It has been, and I went ahead and saw it on Saturday, and I'm really excited to talk about it on Friday. DJ, we may have the biggest panel we've ever had to talk about that movie. It's the biggest movie of the year.
That's amazing. At
least for us. I've invited several people. A lot of people seem to be coming. DJ, I know you're busy and things are crazy at your place, but no pressure. But if you can make it, I'd love to have you there too. I'm trying to make this as big of a group as possible, and I might need help with moderating because of how big that panel's going to be. I'm not going to get a chance to even say anything, I don't think. I'm just going to kind of sit in the corner and be like...
You can moderate.
Here's my sign flip. Yeah. but it's going to be a lot of fun. Then Sunday night that is Friday night at 10 Central. Sunday afternoon, I've announced this before, but in case you missed it, Connor and Kareem and I are going to be talking about the new Black Panther movie, Wakanda Forever, which I am both anticipating and also a little bit leery of, DJ. I'm a little nervous about it. I don't know how that's going to go, and I'm trying to avoid early reviews and things, but I've heard a little bit, and there's a lot of kind of mixed reaction to it, it sounds like. And a lot of people saying things that I was kind of worried about, so I'm hoping that I end up liking it more than I'm afraid that I will, based on what I'm seeing with it. I just want a good story, and for the whole thing not to, or what's good about it to not just be tribute. And I'm hearing a lot of, the story was kind of all over the place, but it's a good tribute. I'm like, no, that's not what I want. So I hope that I end up not agreeing with that, because I don't want to just go see a funeral. And I've been saying that a lot. And obviously, R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. I'm sorry that he's not with us anymore, and I'm sorry he couldn't be in this movie. But I wish that. I still wish he was recast, even if it was several more years before that movie came out. I don't like that choice. I hope I'm somehow won over on it. So we'll be talking about that on Sunday. So big review week for us here on Geekvolution. DJ, are you ready to get into the lead-in topic?
I am ready for the madness.
He's as ready as he'll ever be. Okay, so here is the Jason Momoa quote. This is from Variety. Jason Momoa, excited by James Gunn taking over the DC Universe. One of my dreams will come true under his watch. Now, you notice that Variety, and you know, this is a big news outlet, is already starting to use the term that I don't like. It's not the DCEU anymore, it's DC Universe. And what's weird about it, and I know I keep complaining about this and rambling about it, but I'm not gonna stop. It drives me crazy. Because the DC Universe is just catch-all things in DC. You have to separate your continuities, and we have to keep in mind that James Gunn is the head now of all of the DC stuff that they're doing. Not just the movies, but also animation, also television. Is all that stuff going to be in the same continuity? Is the animation stuff going to be part of all that too? When we say DC Universe, are we just meaning things DC Studios makes? Because that will be very confusing, and I don't think we should be doing that. But let's continue. Jason Momoa told Entertainment Tonight that he is very excited by the news that James Gunn and Peter Safran are taking over the DC Universe. I think that with Peter Safran and Mr. Gunn, I like how it's not Mr. Safran. That's very strange. He feels the need to be more respectful or just more formal with James Gunn than he does Peter Safran. Maybe it's because he knows Safran, because Safran produced his movie. Maybe that's the reason. And if so, I really kind of, I don't mean to overly analyze the way he's talking, but I kind of actually like that. It's kind of like old school.
Hollywood, yeah.
Well, and I was just gonna say like being like really respectful and not too forward, presumptuous, because it's like, you know, I'm talking about the guy that I'm familiar with, but this guy I've never met before. Like maybe he doesn't know James Gunn. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think with Peter Safran and Mr. Gunn at the helm now at DC, I'm very excited about that. He thinks he's very excited about that. There are a lot of cool things that will be coming up. One of my dreams come true will be happening under their watch, so stay tuned. It's not clear yet what Momoa meant when he said one of my dreams come true will be happening under their watch. The actor has already filmed the long-awaited Aquaman sequel, which opens in theaters Christmas 2023. I guess I missed the memo on this, that it was that late next year. This thing has been shot for months and months.
I thought, wow, that's a long way off. That's a bummer.
Do you know how much of a relic of another time that's going to feel? And I keep saying that about these things. But even more than Black Adam, it's going to be like...
But not as bad as Flash. It's like you can't even... There's such a scale to this. Like it's like, yeah, it's going to be bad, but not as bad as Flash.
Wait, forget DC Universe. We should be calling this the Time Capsule Universe. Because every time we see one, it's been in a drawer for 3 years.
It's going to be so weird. Multiverses are going to be out of style by the time Flash comes out.
Yeah, no, we're going to be already done with that and sick of it. Like, Marvel's gonna be already like more than halfway through. They're doing a multiverse saga, and DC is gonna be like, okay, here's our concept. So there's a multiverse, and Marvel's like, yeah, we know, we already got that covered. We beat you guys to the punch by like 2 years. Even though
we threw together
your
a
premise
Spider-Man
for your
movie.
Flash movie has been multiverse since like the middle of Phase 2.
Yeah, we threw together a Spider-Man movie in 6 months and got it out before you could finish your mess.
Before you could get your star and stop breaking the law. What is this world we live in now?
I don't know. We used to just be able to talk about silly movies, and it wasn't insanity.
Remember that? You remember when we used to be like, here's a thing that's coming out. Here's another thing that's coming out. Here's the thing that came out almost on time. And now we can't just review the things or talk about how we feel about a thing happening. We have to talk about all the weird social issues and politics and things around it. And you know how much I love talking about politics.
You love it. That's why you started your own After Dark show.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, okay, so that quote from Momoa has got everybody talking about what is Gunn doing, what's his big project, what's the big exciting thing. There's been talk from Gunn that he had like a super productive weekend last weekend in planning new things, and that I don't have the quote sitting in front of me, but he said something about there being a big project that will do things we've never seen in superhero movies be one of the the biggest majorist things, right? And then we go to a poorly written article from cosmicnews.com. James Gunn has powerful DCU vision, says David Zaslav, and Zaslav's about quality, so we can trust him. The CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery opens up about the DCU. The DCU, man, these outlets really are gonna jump on this and run with it, aren't they? Okay.
Yeah, they didn't listen to you. I can't believe they didn't listen to you.
Well, I'm gonna keep complaining about it. I might be on an island by myself, but I don't like it. On Thursday, Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav addressed Gunn and Safran's new positions and said the pair have a powerful vision for what is to come. For them, running DC Studios is a passion project, not a job. James is I guess he was talking during an investor call. James is a brilliant storyteller who has the distinction of being the first and only filmmaker to direct the movie for both Marvel and DC. I don't know if that was a typo or if he actually said the movie. But I just think that's kind of funny. But that's true.
Two different movies.
He is the only one so far that has directed a movie for both Marvel and DC. And keep in mind, once again, the reason is because Disney fired him for completely unfounded reasons. And then he went to Warner's to take a job, and then they took him back, and now he's straddling the fence and working at both places. And it's like, the joke's on you, suckers, because he's making huge bank with both franchises, or both sides, DC and Marvel, and now he gets to run the other side, which he never should have even worked for. It's amazing. It's just amazing. Joss
Whedon's like, hey, I directed a quarter of a movie for one side and a bunch of movies for the other side. That should count for something.
Well, yeah, but once again, we have to talk about all the stupid politics and scandals and stuff involved. The difference is Whedon had what feels more or less like a real honest-to-God scandal, and so people don't want to work with him anymore. And Gunn's scandal was stupid crap he said on Twitter 12 years ago. Like, there doesn't seem to be a lot real there. That's why Disney ultimately took him back. Yeah, I guess I would love to have been a fly on the wall to see that conversation when they brought him back.
Yeah. I have no idea what that looked like. I'm sure they weren't even really upset about what he did. They're just like, oh, this looks bad on the company. So
yeah,
I
think it ended up looking worse what they did.
Yeah, it's all forgotten. No one even remembers it, so you're fine.
Yeah,
it lasts 10 minutes, and then next thing.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they just gave their competitors like their guy, and don't get me wrong. I don't mean to play this up too hard. I would like to see those companies not being too at each other's throats, and it seems like to some degree at the top they kind of have this right now, where with Feige, and maybe Zaslav will be this way, but certainly Gunn, like those guys aren't going to be at loggerheads. If anything, you're going to see them probably because they get along and they've worked together. I think you'll see those guys maybe even kind of conspiring together in the best way possible to help both companies succeed. Because like Gunn's, and he made that really wonderful diplomatic tweet where he was like, where he was like, $1 for one company is not taking away $1 from the other. Like, it's superhero movies. People like seeing these things. One company's success is potentially can potentially lift up the other one if only they're both making stuff people want to see, and the content is all good. So like, I think Gunn being at DC is also possibly going to be the best thing that's happened to Marvel in a while, if you think about it.
Yeah, Feige and Gunn are like, yeah, as long as nobody gives any money to Sony, we're both happy.
Well, but then they also have the deal with Sony, like, and we'll see how long that lasts the way it is, and if that does last forever or for a lot longer of a time. But it is kind of interesting that with that partnership, and then with those two guys having a good working relationship, we could see superhero movies more and more becoming like kind of less competitive and more just how do we make all of this stuff successful. Austin and I had a conversation, I think it was with Austin the other day, and he proposed the idea that there might be more of a chance than ever now of there being some kind of a DC Marvel crossover thing because of that relationship and the fact that Gunn kind of straddles the fence. After all, and I thought this was really cool, they let Gunn shoot some. I'm trying to remember what exactly it was. I think something for Peacemaker on the set of Guardians 3. Like, just because that's where he was at the time, but there was a bit he needed to make, and so they're like, yeah, it's for another studio, but like we're all friends here, we don't care. Like, if that, and I know that that's a long way away from a total crossover between the companies, but like even that is kind of unheard of with competitors, right?
No,
like that's kind of
a
big deal.
That's a really big deal. That's studio time. Like that's expensive to devote manpower and time and just power in your building to go to money that you're not going to make because it's made for someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just like, renting the hall down at the, Days Inn or something. So, however you feel about Feige and what's going on with the MCU right now and how oversaturated all that is, you gotta give it props for that. And so I think it might be even more possible than it ever was before, that some kind of, crazy intercompany crossover thing could happen. Whether we want that or not is a totally other discussion, but...
Yeah.
Anyway, so let me finish Zaslav's thoughts here. I spent a lot of time over the last few months with James and Peter talking about our strategy and long-term plans for the future of DC across TV, animation, and film. And that means that, if that's to be believed, DJ, that their roles had been decided and solidified long before we learned about them, and that there was already more of a plan than we thought. So they probably just had to finalize some things and get through some formalities before they wanted to make it public. But I mean, if he's been talking to them both for months, it means that was in the can, or getting closer to the can, longer than anybody realized, probably. They have a powerful vision and blueprint that will drive a more unified creative approach. It will enable us, and that'd be good, it will enable us to realize the full value of one of the world's most iconic franchises. They're hard at work right now. I just want to note real quick that it's kind of odd to me and interesting that Zaslav is referring to the whole of the DC universe of their film department, DJ, as a franchise. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard Feige say that at Marvel. I've always talked about it like it does end up being cohesive, like, into a franchise, but it is kind of interesting to hear the head of Warner Brothers call a studio a franchise. I just think that's kind of interesting.
Especially because it's not. The Batman stuff is a different franchise.
Right. But I can see, like, I'm not even criticizing him. I just think the word choice is interesting. Because that might be part of why he's saying it like that, DJ. Because they also have other branches that are not going to be connected to this new DC universe. Because,
Yeah.
as we talked about before, Gunn is not going to have anything to do with the Batman or Joker or any of the other side projects that aren't connected to that continuity. So in that way, it is kind of a franchise.
Yeah, well, DC is a franchise. Like it's a brand. So yeah, it just depends on how you're using the word, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I find semantics interesting. What are James Gunn's DCU plans? While only rumored at this time, James Gunn's plans for the DCU are said to by whom? I don't know, involve a political commentary story mirroring the present times. See, this is not the most well-worded article in the world. That will involve the trial of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. The story is said to involve Amanda Waller on trial, who attempts to get rid of witnesses that include members of the Suicide Squad and members of the government who can testify against her. Reportedly, the Suicide Squad would be involved, Gunn would introduce the Secret Six, and the Justice League would be involved as well. So my question, and all of that sounds very plausible to me, and potentially compelling narrative, and I would love a Waller is on trial story. I don't like Waller, and she is insane, more than she's ever been, I think, in that universe, and for Gunn to come right out and finally call her more on stuff, and be like, yeah, she is kind of a war criminal, to put it mildly. She needs to go on trial, and maybe use that to transition us into a more traditional, less cynical DC universe. I bet that's his angle if that's what he's doing.
She's going to be the Nick Fury of the DCU. She already basically is. She's in so many DC movies.
Yeah, well, and we keep using her as a plot device to get superheroes places, so much so, I don't know if you, because I know you didn't see the movie, I don't know if you saw our video on Black Adam, but she just mobilizes the Justice Society. She just sends them, it's like, why is the Justice Society working for Waller? And if she had them, why did she need to put bombs in criminals' heads?
I don't know. I guess the Justice Society was her backup plan after the Suicide Squad blew up in her face, no pun intended.
It's so weird. And then she's just got Superman on speed dial.
She's the most powerful character in the DCU.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah, forget Nick Fury, she's Thanos. I'll do it myself.
That sounds great. I would watch that. Just a close-up of her head at the end of all the movies.
I didn't watch Peacemaker. As I've said before, Suicide Squad was good, but not my thing, and I couldn't get excited about watching that. I didn't feel like more dark, cynical superhero stuff at the time. Now that he is running everything, I'm probably going to set aside some time at some point in the next couple, 3 months and finally sit down and watch it, because it's probably going to give me a sense of where he's going. If that's to be believed, DJ, this rumor that I don't even know what the source was. It sounds really credible, but it also sounds plausible. So if that's where it's all going, apparently, and Austin told me about this because I didn't know because I haven't seen Peacemaker, but apparently that's set up at the end of that show, with, Waller might finally get some comeuppance. And so that's not surprising. There's also been rumors for a long time about Gunn wanting to do something with Secret Six. So that sounds very likely. Now, is that the same thing that Momoa is talking about? Not likely. Like, that sounds like the next project that he would direct and might open the floodgates for wherever he wants to take things in the future, but that doesn't sound like the big be-all, end-all, huge scope, I would assume somehow cosmic maybe even, plans he would have for the DC universe moving forward. So, DJ, I'm thinking there's something else that Momoa is talking about, whatever the bucket list item is, the thing that he's really excited to finally see. And some people are saying, is he going to do Gunn, or hiring a director to do it, gonna very quickly do his version of Justice League, kind of wipe the slate clean, and kind of wash our mouths out from the last two weirdly attempts at Justice League, both with the same material but different. The idea that the Justice League would be involved in things makes a lot of sense to me. I don't think we're going to get a movie with the word Justice League in the title very quickly. I would think he would avoid that for a minute. My money is on some kind of crisis, some version of a crisis story. That's where I think things are probably going to go.
Cool.
And not even necessarily a Crisis on Infinite Earths. I think possibly Identity Crisis, something like that maybe adapt it in such a way where it's also more of a cosmic thing, where we do some sort of murder mystery story, but it's also more traditionally a crisis, or some. By the way, pardon the screaming children upstairs. See, I've got that problem too. It's a pandemic, really. Or I could even see something loosely based on Kingdom Come. That sounds like kind of Gunn sensibilities, and you could do a really violent, kind of rough superhero story where the point at the end of the day is what traditional superheroes are supposed to be all about. So my money is on something like that, and I would love to hear from viewers in the comments about what they might think Gunn is going to do, and what Momoa might be talking about with what his big bucket list thing is, because you would assume it'll have something to do with Aquaman. And I don't know what that is, because the first Aquaman movie was like an entire run of comics.
The one thing they didn't get to in the first movie is he's a big fan of. He's actually just a big fan of Amanda Waller. He wants to cross paths with her. That's his dream.
He doesn't even care about Waller. He just wanted to work with Viola Davis. Like, he just liked that actress a lot, and he's finally getting.
Well, I mean, no surprise there. She's a great actress.
She's great. Yeah, absolutely.
I just watched The Woman King. It's pretty cool.
I heard good things about that.
Yeah, it was great.
Is it?
It was our first date night with my wife. We got a babysitter for the first time since my daughter's been born, over 2 years, and we went to the movies. It was
congratulations, man.
Amazing. Although it costs a fortune to go to the movies, because we have to like pay the babysitter and pay for the movie, and then we ended up just getting pizza so she wouldn't have to cook for the kids because we went out earlier. Like, it was a lot of money.
It's like a $40-$50 night at best.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it was a lot, but it was worth it, because I haven't got to go on a date in a long time. So.
Well, I'm glad that you got to do that. I honestly couldn't tell you the last time I did.
Yeah, it's tough.
I don't remember that. Well, and this, like, not to compare difficulties with having children and stuff, but I mean, like, Sarah had a longer recovery period after having twins, and like, she did really well, but I mean, like, she could barely, move and function the last few weeks of that pregnancy, because she was so large, because it was twins, and then
crazy.
The recovery period of after that overall is longer, and then you've got twins in the house plus 3 other kids, so that first year with the girls was a complete whirlwind. I don't remember a lot of it. Like, I think I blocked some of it out of my mind because I didn't sleep like for 8 months.
Yeah,
I don't know how we got any videos on the channel.
I don't either, man. You're a trooper. That sounds really intense.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I wasn't trying to compare us, but I'm just saying, like, I'm in this place right now while you're talking where I'm like, everything about what you just said sounds so, like, simple to me. No,
you win for sure. And it's not a game I even want to compete with you in. I'm done. Two's good.
I'm sorry. I'm being selfish. I shouldn't have brought myself up. Let's go ahead and Jar Jar Ed says someone needs to get Cap fixed fast. We're not having any more children. I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay, so DJ, let's go ahead and start getting in. I'm sorry, I kind of dominated and just gave my 55 cents about all of that. Do you have, because I know you're not like the biggest speculation guy, and I just wanted to do that because I know people are interested in that kind of thing. Do you have any thoughts, any predictions about what Gunn might want to do for some big kind of cosmic DC thing?
Oh, no. I think you covered it pretty well, and we have quite a bit of super chats about it. So I think I'll talk a little bit more as those come in.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just jump in at any time, man. I get excited. I just start talking.
No, I'm very happy that you're excited. It's good to be excited about the prospects of the future of the DC universe.
Yeah, because it's been a while.
Yeah, I'm very happy. But yeah, I'll just jump into these super chats if you're down.
Thanks so much. Go right ahead.
All right. The first one, I would say doesn't have to do with this or anything, but I actually don't know because I don't know what it means. It's from T-Edge1, $2. What do they make at Factory? Great show tonight.
Oh, I know what he's talking about. So, Tom, I don't know. Thanks to the super chat. I don't know why people feel the need to do this. That's a thing from the Weird Al movie, and I don't want to spoil things from that for people that haven't had a chance to look at it yet. So he's quoting that movie. He's seen it. He liked it. He wants to talk about it. We're gonna do that Friday.
Okay, that's just for you.
Moving right along. At first, I didn't know what it meant either, and then I realized I brought up Weird Al at the beginning. I'm like, oh, that's what he's talking about. He's talking about that movie.
He's always got his finger on the pulse of what pop culture is doing. So thank you, Tom.
The pulse of the nation.
Yeah, exactly. The great and powerful Dodd, $4.99. Thoughts on the She-Hulk writers' comments wanting to troll the trolls and fans and push safe sexuality in children's content? There's a lot that just...
Wow. I didn't know about any of that, and so I can't really comment on it too much. I've not looked at She-Hulk, so I haven't been keeping up with a lot of the discourse and controversy around it. It seems like the only time that show comes up, and I guess it's finished now, the only time that show comes up that I'm hearing is when people are, upset about something that show did, or think that it's jumped the shark too hard for the MCU, that kind of thing. I guess I don't mind going on the record and saying I don't know how much I was gonna say I don't agree with those last comments. I would have to see what the context was and what they're talking about. I don't want to be pushy and pandery about anything. You know what I mean? Like whether I agree with it or not. But I mean, I don't like it when creators come out and go, "We've got an agenda. That's what it's about." I'm like, why don't you write stories? And if you're thinking, feeling people that have, like most of us are, that care about things and have opinions about stuff, they'll come out. The way you do the job is you write a story about She-Hulk, because that's what you were hired to do. And then, if there are thematic... And, like, sometimes you can, to some degree, begin with thematic kernels and stuff. I usually say you don't begin with theme when you write stories. It just ends up being more heavy-handed, not character-driven. It ends up being much more about, like, coming off as propaganda, even if you don't mean that, or it's about trying to, like, teach the audience a lesson or try to tell them how they're supposed to think about things before it's about actually telling a story. So write a story about a character. Let the character guide you and direct what happens. And then when you see interesting thematic things in your story where you're like, hey, we actually seem to be saying something with this, then you bring that stuff out. And that's the difference between social commentary and propaganda. So when I hear somebody like that going, we want to push this agenda, I'm never behind that, even if even if I agreed with said agenda, whatever it is. You can get obviously very serious and but you want to do it in a thoughtful way about things that are really happening in the culture, and you can say something with it. That's different than we're going to use a thing as a vehicle. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, there is a difference. There is a
but I don't even know if they said that. Like, that could be the writer of the article that just took what they said and said they're trying to push an agenda. Like, I have no idea what they said. And that's the problem with the...
So asterisk, the thing I just said, is if they actually said that. But I'm just using this, I guess, to soapbox about that whole thing in general, because I don't actually know what was said, and I don't... Yeah, exactly. I don't really want to, speak out right now and talk about it.
About the way news is given to us these days. Like, they probably wouldn't say anything, but they're forced to go on these stupid press tours and talk to 50 interviewers in one day, and the interviewers have full control over the questions. They ask that. They have to give some kind of answer, just like you, when someone gives a super chat, you have to give some kind of answer, and then they take it and then put it as their article. Oh, they said they want to push this, and I'm like, they're not prepared for these
now,
questions.
And I'm not calling out the super chatter for this, but now I've gone on record on a thing that I wasn't intending to.
And I don't know. I'm not even saying that that's what happened. I'm just saying that happens a lot, and this could be a case of that. I don't know. Maybe they did come out but it's not like they're going out writing like pieces on like, this is what our show's about. It's like they're asked a question, they give a quick answer, and then all the articles, because it's all about just getting clicks, and you have to get the catchy title. It's so frustrating.
However, I can't help but be a little bit cynical about this kind of thing sometimes now, because it has been in vogue, or at least perceptively it's in vogue. I don't know if this translates to dollars, but the last several years, it seemed to Hollywood at least, the perception has been on the side of producers and writers, it's in vogue to make grand statements with things and to make a story more about being on the right side of politics or history or whatever than it is like actually telling a story. And I've heard too many people involved with projects making a big, patting themselves on the back, making a big deal out of the statements they're making and the points they're making, and making that what it's all about. And so you're right that people get caught off guard and they just, in an interview have to give an answer, and then that gets touted up too hard. And then sometimes they do it on purpose.
Yeah, of course.
Because that's, and like, I don't mean to use this as an excuse to complain about this again, but it's an example, and it's probably the best example. But that's Alex Kurtzman with Star Trek, who has on record multiple times said it's all about politics, and it's just about saying the correct things. And if you don't agree with us, we don't want you here watching. And when I know that there's anybody in Hollywood that's willing to say that kind of thing with a straight face, it's hard not to feel cynical about the whole thing.
Yeah. I listen to a lot of kind of podcasts from people in Hollywood, and they just seem like normal people, and they're not one way or the other. They usually are like in the middle somewhere, and it seems like the loudest people are the ones that are the most obnoxious. And I'm like, most of the time, if you give them a podcast and they're just talking, having a conversation, they're just normal people. And it bugs me that Twitter short little soundbite extreme stuff gets the most attention. Anyway.
But also, you should blame that, but you should also blame the few people that aren't that way.
Yeah.
Because I'm just saying they're out there. John Ty says, what are they
absolutely
talking about? I don't know.
Who knows? We're just grievances from old men.
We're gonna 139 episodes in. That's what we're gonna change the title of the show to.
Grumpy old men.
Grievances of old men. It's the Get Off My Lawn show. Starring
right.
Cap and DJ.
We should start shooting it out on the lawn in lawn chairs.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, we're like sitting around around like a fire pit drinking beer.
Hey, just more ideas for when you come. We'll get it set up. Next one, Jar Jar Ed.
Say it with me. Stop announcing things. I'm gonna be at DJ Martinez's house. Is it next week or the week after?
Good grief, is it next week already?
It's next week. Yeah. Yep, I'm getting on a plane to see you next Thursday night. So we'll have one more Captain Logan show on Thursday, and no, we'll have the Tuesday show, and so two more, and then next Thursday show, if all goes according to plan, we'll actually be at DJ's place, and we'll be on probably one camera, unless we rig it up where we've got two hooked up, because you've got OBS, we could do that.
Yeah, we could play it like Battleship mode, where you're like right there.
Yeah.
And I'm over here.
We may have to, but the problem is, for the sake of bleed through, we might be stuck having to use one microphone.
Yeah. I'll probably take my mic off the arm and just put it on the desk, and we can both use it.
It's the only worry that I'd have. Well, and my voice carries, so we'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'll get I won't even need a megaphone. I'll get a piece of paper and just go,
hey,
everybody, it's Captain Logan show.
The human megaphone.
That's me, man. I'm going to legally change my name. All right, what is next?
Jar Jar Ed,
Hi.
$5. If I were in charge of DC, my first order of business would be telling my secretary, bring me a taco. Then I spend the rest of the day sleeping.
Oh, I missed some of that. What?
I have no idea what that's a reference to.
I'm going to... Oh, wow, there's a bunch of super chats already.
Yeah, we got to
thanks,
catch
guys.
up.
If I was in charge of DC, my first order of business would be telling the secretary, bring me a taco! Then I'd spend the rest of the day sleeping. Yeah. Well, what we were speculating about was creatively what the first thing James Gunn would be doing is not... like he's already the head in doing things. So you don't know. His first day, he may have done that. Like over the weekend, before anything else. Oh, breaking news. Forgot to get to it.
What?
Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this?
You have a taco on set? You're about to eat?
But this is this should have been half of the lead-in topic, and I haven't brought it up yet. Culture Crave on Twitter. Breaking news. Christopher Nolan, Steven Spielberg, David Zaslav, and Peter Safran all had lunch together last week.
Oh, yes. We have a super chat about this.
Yeah. Okay, well, I can wait for the super chat to talk about that. But I just found out about that. Thanks again to Austin. He keeps me apprised of stuff sometimes that I haven't heard about yet. And I say it's breaking because I just found out about it. But so there's speculation about what that means, and we'll get into it. But go ahead, DJ, take us through the super chats.
All right, the Senior Sticks, $2. When will Valiant, Image, Boom, etc. get their MCU?
Okay, let me break them down real quick. And actually, I'm not even going to do that. Valiant is going to make a valiant attempt at that. There's been a lot of discussion, I think, about their taking their properties and trying to make a shared universe out of it. I don't know how far along they are with any of that, but hasn't there been talk about that for quite a while now? They were hoping to make more movies. I don't know. I don't think any of those characters are already popular enough to get people jazzed about it. They would have to make that great movie that made people fans of a character in the first place, I think. The other studios that you brought up are not shared universes in the first place. You said Image. If the Spawn movie goes well, I could see a Spawn shared universe eventually. But and we, by the way, never talked about that whole thing, but they finally have announced writers for that. And so McFarlane's not writing it by himself anymore. And I told you, I knew that was the deal breaker. I knew it was like, look, if you're... I guarantee Blumhouse took one look at that script and they went, we can't film this. I'm telling you, that's why he couldn't get that movie made when he thought he could. But apparently the actors that were attached are still attached. It's still the same project, but it's getting a rewrite because it has to make any sense in getting put out by any studio on the planet that's not some guy in his basement. So there's the... Oh, and real quick, let me mention this too. I'm sorry, I know I'm running off with myself, but I never had a chance to talk about that whole thing. We did a Captain Logan show, I want to say, the day that announcement was supposed to come out. So McFarlane puts out a tweet. He goes, big announcement about the Spawn movie tomorrow.
Oh, and it's just like a piece of notebook paper that he wrote like in pen on. It's hilarious.
Then the next day he goes, I'm sorry, we have to postpone the Spawn news today. I'll tell you about it tomorrow. And then that was the news, is that the writers, I guess, of Captain America not Winter Soldier, I wish, that Falcon and Winter Soldier are writing that movie. And I'm like, I didn't love that show, but like they're writers more than McFarlane's a writer. So I mean, like, because some people immediately went, oh no, not them. And I'm like, have you ever read McFarlane? You want them over McFarlane?
Can only go up.
Yeah, and I can't remember who it was. One of them had a better credit. I can't remember. I don't think it was Logan, but it was something else where I was like, well, this might be more promising. Anyway, so I just wanted to mention that real quick. But how did we get to Spawn? What were we talking about?
Valiant, Boom, and Image.
Okay, so you're never going to see an Image shared universe. Thank you, by the way. With other Image characters, that ship sailed way back in 1993, 1994, and like occasionally they'll do comics where they'll mix characters again and pretend like they've had a shared universe. But by and large, Image is a place for independent creators to bring their work and still have the rights to their characters. That's the whole point of it. So they have separate universes, even if those separate universes are shared universes. So Walking Dead is not in the same world as Spawn, is not in the same world as Haunt, except I think maybe there's a crossover somewhere there. Maybe they sort of technically are. I'm not sure. But for the most part, they're not in the same. Witchblade, etc., etc. The Darkness is just easier for them to cross over. I'm talking about mostly 90s stuff right now. They have a lot more, things than that. Paper Girls, that got a TV show, and then it immediately got canceled before I had a chance to watch it. And everybody said it was terrible, so I'll probably never see it. But I digress. And then Boom, again, bunch of disparate universes, mostly pre-existing continuities even that they're rebooting or adding to. You're not going to see Power Rangers with Buffy, with, whatever else they have right now. So yeah, I don't know that you'll ever see another, like, comic book shared universe like that. The best you can hope for probably is a character with a universe that's big enough to have a lot of spin-offs, to become a shared universe. So could you do it with Spawn if you got your ducks in a row and you made good? Yeah, absolutely you could. You could do it with Power Rangers, which is what I mean. That's kind of the next one, really, depending on how successful Netflix's plans are and whether all those things are all in the same continuity. You're actually about to get that with Power Rangers. Maybe, but I don't know how much of it is actually set in the same world, or if we're going to have like 4 or 5 disparate continuities.
Mm-hmm.
It's complicated, folks. It never gets simpler.
All right, next one from Jar Jar Ed, $5. My pitch for a DC movie: Superman entering our universe. My pitch for a DC movie is Superman entering our universe. Seeing how many reboots there have been in the past 10 years, and ask why they keep failing.
Okay, that's funny, and you might just be joking, but if you were serious, of course, I wouldn't want to see anything that meta with Superman. I don't need Superman to become Deadpool. But I think that'd be a great Deadpool movie. I mean, I keep wanting Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe on screen and about films, and Deadpool coming into our world going, you people are insane, it can't be that hard. I think that'd be great. But yeah, I don't want to see it with Superman. But I think you could, in a subtler way, within the fictional world of the DC universe, you could do, or just a Superman universe, you could do a story that attacks the issues we've had in telling stories about Superman over the last couple decades, arguably several decades, really, head on. And I think Superman and Lois has actually done that to some degree. That first season, they basically come right out and try to show Snyder how to do a Superman in a darker world without making Superman the thing that's dark, all the way down to the muted color palette. Like, if that movie had looked like that, but had the kind of reverence for the character and didn't seem apologetic about it, and had, more or less the level of the quality of writing that show, especially the pilot, has, I don't think as many people would have complained about the look of that movie. Because a lot of people are like, why can't it be brighter? Why can't it have, the bright reds and blues? And the answer in that show is, that's not the world Superman lives in. That's the world he wants to create. And so there's actually like real thematic reasons that, and it feels like an artistic choice before it feels like an immature, Superman's not cool enough, so we got to badass him up somehow, kind of way. I don't think people would have complained about it the way they did with Man of Steel if that had been the reason in the first place. And they straight up do evil Superman in that show and go, here's how you do that without making Superman bad, and it's great. And I haven't seen season 2, so I don't know if it stays great. And I'm this is not a full endorsement for that show. Like, I like it a lot. It's got some typical TV kind of soap opera issues, but it is overall more or less what I've been wanting for Superman for a long time. And I hope that Gunn is looking at that and takes some notes from it.
So I'm looking back through the super chats. That actually was not a super chat about the DC meetup. So I'm just going to read it started a conversation in the chat. Great and Powerful Dodd said, apparently Spielberg and Nolan have met with the WB for a Superman project, with a lot of exclamation points and question marks. And then Blue Dragon 5 said Henry Cavill in a Spielberg Superman movie would be interesting. And it was talked about in the chat for a little bit. So that's what I was thinking of. So we can go ahead and talk about that.
Well, that's still,
if you want to.
I mean, that's that article, though, that they met together. That's what I was talking about. Now, I haven't seen anything that has corroborated what exactly they met, that it's Superman. Like, we don't know what exactly they met about, I don't think. I think it's jumping the James Gunn to say that they were all meeting definitely about Superman. It sounds likely, certainly. Is it possible they also were just having steaks? Probably. Possibly. It was probably a business meeting.
It is interesting that Warner is even talking to WB again, though. I mean, not Warner, that Nolan.
I know, right?
He had a big breakup with them after last year.
Maybe it's just the Gunn of it all. Maybe he finds James Gunn interesting, and that's a person he would work with. I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe he just wanted to get tea with Spielberg.
Yeah, maybe that
Who
that was,
knows?
he was like, well, if Spielberg's going to be there. Okay, so here are my thoughts about that, though, if that turns out to be what they were meeting for, and if anything gets off the ground from it. My immediate reaction to Spielberg doing a Superman movie is it's like 25 years too late. I would have loved that in the late 80s, early 90s, but maybe not right now. That seems like kind of the obvious thing to do to try to get the public that likes Superman more on board with you, where it's like, I see the strategy of it. That's the guy you hire for credibility, and of course, we still put Spielberg's name on stuff all the time just for the sake of credibility, right? And Spielberg has, in a roundabout way, DC connections because he has a lot to do with why Batman the Animated Series even got off the ground in the early 90s. He's not technically a producer on that, but if it's not for Tiny Toons and everything, and the way his presence was able to change the animation department and give them more money and more time to make shows and stuff, Batman the Animated Series could have never happened. So Spielberg has weirdly a lot to do with the success of DC characters all through the 90s. But beyond that, I think he gives it credibility in that people would assume that, you know, his having the reputation for good sci-fi director, good family film director, he's gonna understand Superman, have the right sensibilities with it. He's the obvious choice 25 years ago. I don't know what his doing it now would look like. Having said that, I mean, I liked Ready Player One. It's not like the man can't still direct. So I would be.
Yeah, he just made West Side Story last year.
And I didn't see that because I don't like that material, but people said good things about it. Did you like that movie?
I didn't like the movie, but the directing was really, really good. I like the original much more.
I would be curious to see what that would look like, and it could work out okay. I guess I have actually kind of the same reservations in some ways that I did when Whedon got Avengers, where I'm like, I can see it, but there's going to be stuff about that I'm not going to want in it. You know what I mean? But then I like that movie better than a lot of people did, even after I was really skeptical in videos about that choice. So I guess we'll see. I would want to know who the writer was. That would be more important than anything. Like, if Spielberg just gets behind a camera with the right script, you know, that could be great. Put a veteran there. At the same time, I want to see, and I know that is new blood for DCEU or DCU now or whatever we're calling it, but DJ, I want some younger directors. I want people with fresh new voices. I don't want Nolan 150 yards from, you know, close to DC properties. Like, he shouldn't have worked on Man of Steel. It didn't seem like he wanted to work on Man of Steel. This is nothing to do with Nolan. I don't see his heart being in superhero stuff ever again. And if it is, and he makes something great, then I'll eat my hat. But I want new blood. Like, we got in my mind, 2 great Batman movies from him, but for a lot of the universe, a great Batman trilogy. I don't need anything else from him. Like we need unabashed traditional comic stuff right now, not people coming in and reinventing the wheel to fit their directing style, because they're not, you know, really superhero people. And I don't mean to be elitist about it either. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, now's not the time yet. I just think that trying to restructure it and sort of kind of start over. Don't go back to Nolan again. Stop giving Zimmer scores. Give me fresh new blood. Let some new people come in. The best thing right now that I could hear is Gunn sat down with 3 people and had stakes that I've never heard of before.
Yeah.
Maybe they're talented. Maybe they're not. Let's trust Gunn to do his job until he proves to us that he can't do it. You know what I mean? Because, like, I trust him as a storyteller. I think he's a wonderful director. Even if I'm not always really with his sensibilities, he might do a wonderful job. Let him pick people, and I wish he'd pick obscure people off the street that you've never heard of that make, like, 1 or 2 really great films, and do what MCU was doing before they got people that have maybe only made a couple of like art house things, but then it doesn't matter what they've made because they already made half the movie before they put them there. And when they got the Russos, right, it's like, really, the Russos doing this act, and then they make one of the best action movies I've ever seen with Winter Soldier. I want Gunn to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Agreed.
So it's two responses. Spielberg could be fine. I don't want that. You know, it'd be cool if no one surprised me, I guess, if we're stuck with that, but I don't want that. And so those are my responses.
Yeah, and maybe they're just talking on a producer level, and he's just getting their opinions so that he can pick the right people in the right positions. I mean,
that's a really good point. It could have just been an advice meeting. Like, you know, you guys have had to do things similarly to what I'm doing now, and I'm a director. I don't know how to do this job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could have been anything. We're massively speculating over just a lunch that could have just been like a friendly get together.
But that's a book I want. I had this thought when I was looking at that, because my first thought was, oh, they had lunch together. Like I get why everybody's jumping to, ooh, what's the projects and whatever. But my first thought was, I wonder what they all ate. And then I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool to get a book of that where whenever people sit down for these fateful meetings that lead to brilliant projects we all love that changed our lives, what were they having for dinner? Give me that. I would buy that in a heartbeat. Here's what everybody had for lunch.
Christopher Nolan has like a nice medium rare steak with a cup of tea, and Spielberg has like his American cheeseburger that he's eating, and James Gunn is like eating gummy worms on his hot dog with purple ketchup or something. I don't know.
He's having... I'm gonna go back to UHF. He's having a Twinkie wiener sandwich.
Yeah, he's a weirdo. I don't know what he eats.
Yes. See, you want that book.
All right. The Great and Powerful Dog.
Yeah.
Switching gears, $4.99 cap. I highly recommend Black Hammer by Jeff Lemire for you. It seems to fit your taste. I think it's the Watchmen of this generation.
Ooh, okay. I'll write it down and I'll take a look. I like Jeff Lemire a lot, and I have not been reading creator-owned stuff or anything else lately. So, yeah, Black Hammer. I've heard of that. I didn't know what it was. Is that Image? I'm gonna assume it's Image, but I'll look it up. Jeff Lemire. Thank you. I can't promise a review. I may or may not be able to. I've been having a hard time working vaults in lately, and I kind of hate it, DJ. Like, I wish on a weekly basis I could throw together, a quick vault and get back in the comics. And the only way I've been able to do it lately is when it's the Friday show.
Yeah, I listened to the What If one, by the way. It was great.
It was way too long, and I felt bad that Dan had to leave early, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got 2 hours out of 6 single issues of comics, but it was a lot of fun. So thanks for that, man. Let's see. Black Hammer.
Black Hammer.
Do you want me to put the hammer down? Dark Horse. Hey, Dark Horse still makes comics?
He wasn't even mentioned in the Boom Valiant Image discussion.
Well, yeah, because Dark Horse can't have a shared universe. They don't own anything. They're lucky they still have Hellboy.
That's true.
Dark Horse. This started in 2016. It's still going. It's an ongoing, and and they're doing their They're doing their continuity in phases, just like Marvel. They have
really?
phase 1, phase 2. Okay, this doesn't sound like my kind of thing, but I'll try to take a look at it. I now that I'm looking at this, I remember this #1 cover when it came out, because I was still buying stuff new back then. But the first trade is called Sherlock, Frankenstein, and the Legion of Evil.
Wow, that sounds incredible.
Yeah.
Sherlock Frankenstein.
So it sounds like mashups like that, literary mashups have been really popular in darker comics, especially creator-owned stuff.
Yeah.
For a long time. Okay, thank you for that suggestion, and I just kind of gave you the floor to create a recommends right there. Go ahead,
Nice.
DJ.
It is Coif. It is COIF. There's no T.
See,
sound.
I knew I screwed that up when I said it. The T came out and I went, I'm sure I messed this up. Okay.
OBS just needs a rewind button.
Yeah.
Jar Jar Ed.
That would... Wait. That would make OBS capable of time travel,
Well, yeah.
if you really think about it.
Get on it, OBS.
Or are you suggesting that what it would do is it would roll time backward, not physically roll time backwards, but you would rewind? I see what you're saying. It would rewind the live show, and then you basically would pave over a thing you said already.
Yeah,
live.
It's like on a tape.
That's genius.
There you go. You're editing in real time, like the old days on a VHS in your camcorder.
I would not trust myself with that kind of power. Well, the problem with it would be the same thing that I had. This is part of why we go live all the time now. And I've talked about this on camera a little bit, but I would be worried that I would have the same thing, DJ, that I've had when I'm doing an off-the-cuff video pre-recorded, where I'll get started like 15 different times and not be happy with my opening, and I'll keep restarting it. But if I'm live, I'm stuck with whatever I did. I can't start over. I have to keep going. I mean, I've had live shows. I've had reviews where I get kind of stuck in the moment and I can't decide where I want to go next. I'm like, oh man, if only I could, shut things down and start over, but everybody's watching me right now, and I'll have a couple of seconds of silence, like, where do I want to go? And nobody knows that that's what I'm doing. We're like, what I'm actually doing, I want to hit the nuke button. I want to just quit, but I can't, and so I had this with Black Adam. I had a complete brain freeze and could not remember where I was going to go next. I was like, this sucks. Like, I'm ruining this live show. And naturally, it was the most viewed video we had in like a couple of months. And I'm like, this sucks. I need to stop. And then I looked around and I was like, I got Jason here, I got Connor here, there's an audience of like 50 people. I can't just hit the nuke button, and so I had to think of something to say and move on. And it was kind of, it was kind of crappy for a second, but then I, picked it up and I felt stupid about it later. But like, you give me that, and I would overuse it.
Yeah,
it would be a really bad idea.
Yeah, like most technology, it's not worth it.
It makes your life more convenient, but at what twisty cost?
Dun dun dun. Jar Jar Ed.
Yeah.
$2. Just a little addendum to his one about Superman coming in and being disappointed with all of the problems. He says, by reboots, I mean DC Comics continuity.
Oh, I thought.
So wow, that's a niche movie. It's a movie about Superman coming into the real world and being disappointed with DC Comics always restarting.
Yeah, that movie is for 12 people. But I could see it as an animated movie, maybe, because only 12 people watch those in the first place. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I mean, comics would be the only place to actually do that story, probably. But again, it doesn't sound like a Superman story. It sounds like a Deadpool story.
Yeah. Just wait for the next amalgam. Super Deadpool.
And also, it also
Super
Please don't do that. The Kents pick up Deadpool out of a rocket.
It's just like this deformed, like messed up baby they pull out of a fire.
Yeah, and like he's obnoxious and horrible, and it changes them fundamentally to where they start. This is dark. Where like the Kents get to the place where they just want to murder their own child, but he just won't die.
Good God. Oh, wow.
Well, I said it out loud, so I'm stuck with it now. See, the rewind button would be really good right now.
Yeah, you only use it when you say something, too offensive.
I wouldn't know where the line was, though. No, there was a suggestion I was going to make about that whole thing. Oh, Jurgens. The other problem with that, as like a legitimate idea, Ed, is Jurgens kind of did his own version of that in, again, a more subtle way when he took his Superman from the Death of Superman era and put him in basically a pocket dimension and brought him into New 52 to kind of prove that their Superman did not have the traditional principles of Superman and did not seem like that character. To him, that's not Superman. And so we have this contrast thing where we see what Superman's really supposed to be like with a Superman that has aged and has had a child, and that's where John Kent comes from, is that whole thing from Lois and Clark, not to be confused with the TV show. And then when we got into Rebirth, he came up with, I think, a really kind of, contrived plot device-y way to merge those characters back together, like New 52, or fix the status quo. New 52 Superman dies. That Superman it has to kind of take over, and then because the status quo is so far removed from traditional Superman status quo, with Clark Kent just working at the Daily Planet with Perry White and Lois Lane and everything, there's this weird like universe merging thing that happens that only affects the Superman side of things and none of the rest of DC. It was really bizarre, and I didn't like it at all. This is why Dan Jurgens is really hit or miss, because occasionally he'll do some crackpot scheme like that. But I loved his, because I think it was kind of necessary. I think it made a good point, and this was one of those rare places where, yeah, the point was kind of to make a point about something, maybe more than telling a good story, but it was a good story too, and it was a thing that kind of needed to be said. It gets sticky when you agree with it. That's the problem. But anyway.
Yeah. Senior Sticks, $2. DJ, why be against the Sonyverse? Because it's terrible, and I like Spider-Man.
Because it sucks.
And I don't want it. Why not be against the Sonyverse? I would pose back to you.
Yeah, I think to be fair, there's a difference between not liking a thing so far and just being against it in the sense that you're not open-minded enough to say this movie works if it ends up being good. I'm open-minded enough for them to finally put one out and me go, okay, it won't happen. I'll be shocked if it does. But see, that's the thing is, that is not a bias, and I know the question was for you, but I'm gonna answer it too. The bias, for me anyway, generally speaking, I think, does not make me dislike a thing that I might otherwise like because of the context surrounding it, right? Where, like, I go into Morbius and I go, I hate this Venom thing without Spider-Man. I'm gonna hate this movie on principle. Like, I have to go see it, but it's gonna suck. I've already decided it sucks. My standards are so on the floor that it has much more of a chance of making me like it than it might have otherwise, is the thing. So when it's as bad as that was, it's almost like brain bursting. Like, I went to Venom and was actually in some ways pleasantly surprised. It's not what I wanted, but I liked it more than I should have. I'm liking it less now, to be fair, because of what it has wrought. But you see what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm against the Sonyverse in that, on principle, that's not what they should have done with that. I don't like. It's stupid to have a villain universe without Spider-Man and call them all spin-offs. It's preposterous and it's dumb. But, like, I don't know, if they make one that I like, then at least there's the one. But I might still be against the universe. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you even have that, because you don't want to see them.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, if I heard great things about them, maybe I would go check them out. But, like, it's like, yeah, I'm against it. I'm not against it on principle. I don't like it on principle, but I'm against it after seeing Venom and hearing what Morbius was like. Like, nobody was like, "Oh no, it's a stupid idea, but it was great. You should go see it." No, everyone's like, it was a stupid idea, and the execution was even worse, is what I'm hearing.
And Venom 2 is even worse, man.
Yeah,
at least than the first one.
Weird...
I don't know if it's worse than Morbius, but it pissed me off more than Morbius did.
Yeah, because you don't care about Morbius. It's not Carnage is your baby, man. Venom's your baby. It's weird.
To be fair, Morbius could be cool. Like, I don't think that's a bad idea any more than doing Blade by himself necessarily is. You could do a good Morbius movie. It's just a weird choice.
Not as weird as Craven. I don't know what that's going to be. Like, what is that going to be? What is he hunting? Is he just hunting animals? Is he hunting men? Like, what are we watching? There's no Spider-Man.
Well, I don't think he'll be a hunter. I think that movie will be called Craven because he's a spy. Like, they've already told us that. It's a spy movie.
That's the thing. It's like, I'm already against...
He might be hunting men. Craven Manhunter.
Craven Manhunter. Like, I'm against doing... Spider-Man villains... Spider-Man is my favorite rogues gallery. I love his rogues gallery. But I am against doing just Spider-Man villain movies. But they're not even doing that. They're one step even worse than that, where they're all heroes in their movies. Like, Venom is the hero of the movie. Morbius, I hear, is the hero of the movie. There's always another Venom that he has to fight and another vampire he has to fight. Like, I don't what where does this go? When we get to the movie where Spider-Man finally fights Venom, who are we supposed to root for? We had a sob story for Morbius. Are we supposed to just Spider-Man just going to come in and punch him in the face and make a funny joke, and then we're like, yes, that poor guy got turned into a vampire against his will. Yes, like what? I don't understand where this is going.
And he could have been sympathetic, but still bad.
Yeah, they're not even bad guys. I don't understand.
Like, oh, they kill people and they're all dark and broody and they're mean to people, so they're not the hero. No, you put it in the cookie cutter narrative of a superhero movie where like your main guy more or less wins at the end. It's a superhero movie. You just made sure he was an a-hole to boot. Like,
so it's going to be BVS where there's two superheroes fighting each other, and then they both have to not lose, and they can't lose and they can't win because they're both superheroes. So they just like fight for a little bit and then team up to fight something else. I don't know what it's going to be.
They're going to have this. Okay, but I want that to be what they fight, right? The villain from the Howard the Duck movie.
Yes.
You get to the end of the Venom versus Spider-Man movie, and they have this. They have this epiphany where they realize that Venom's mask looks kind of like a Spider-Man mask, so maybe they should get along. Like, that's their Martha moment. Yeah. Where it's like, why is your mask based on my mask? I don't know, but we must be friends now. It should have been because I was in your head first, but I didn't do that.
Why do you have those eyes?
It'll be like Breakfast at Tiffany's, where like that's the one thing we've got. They both really like Todd McFarlane art. That's what brings them together.
That's true. I don't know what that movie's gonna be. It's so weird. But anyway, that was a $2 super chat that we went on about for far too long.
More bang for your buck here on the Captain Logan Show.
Another $2 super chat from David B.A. Soddenfoal.
Hi.
What if you were on the game show in the house?
What does that mean? The game show in the house?
I don't know. Is this a Da Monkey reference?
I
don't know what this means. Is In the House a game show?
I don't know. I've never heard of that. I'm going to look it up, and then Google's going to be like, you're an idiot. What the hell is In the House? In the House.
No.
It's an American sitcom.
Is it a game show?
Yeah, no. So I don't know what that means. What if I was in a game show in my house? We're going to go ahead and move on. Feel free to give us a clarification in the regular comments. Just put at DJ Martinez, and then we'll answer it further. I don't know what that one means.
Senior Sticks, $2. What if... This is a lot of what if questions.
We're still in that show.
What if there's a Black Adam 2? If so, fail or success?
Well, I have not looked at the box office from this last weekend to see how much of a drop that's had. We should probably look that up, but I didn't mention this part of one of the articles that I brought up earlier, but it did mention that the guys that made that movie were all, we're ready to make another one right away. Like, we can get rolling on it. Like we got nothing better to do. Here we go. Let's make this movie. And, of course, we haven't heard anything from Gunn yet about whether he wants to make a sequel to that or anything else. Like, who knows if there's going to be more Aquaman movies, if there's going to be more Shazam movies. How much of a reset are we doing, really, with whatever his first couple films are? Who knows? So I think, honestly, the answer to will Black Adam 2, if they make that, be successful is how involved will Gunn be in the premise and the direction of that? How connected will it be with whatever his other movies are? And if they're good and do well. I would say before he took over, a Black Adam 2 is probably not all that successful. With him at the helm now, more bets are off, I think.
Well, I have this. There will be a Black Adam 2. Unfortunately, it's coming out in 2037 because these movies take 15 years to make. It looks like it's doing fine. It's at 323 worldwide. 323 million.
Yeah, I want to see what the percentage drop-off was, here's an article about this from Insider. This is just the show now. I just read you guys articles you could look up on your own. Insider, DC's Black Adam will likely fizzle at the box office without a China release, as Marvel's Wakanda Forever threatens to halt its momentum, and of course.
Yeah, of course it is going to.
Yeah. So when you say it's doing fine, yeah, but how much far, like, is it gonna slow to a crawl? Like, that movie needed to make, because it was, not cheap, like, it needed to do probably 4 or 5 to make its money back when you consider advertising fees and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Black Adam defied initial projections and poor critic reviews with a $67 million premiere weekend at the U.S. box office, but its momentum since hasn't been strong enough to put the movie in a long-term favorable position. Black Adam cost $195 million to make. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's got to do 5 or 6. I'm saying things before this article is. Black Adam likely needs at least $600 million worldwide to break even. See what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? When considering theaters typically take around half of movies' ticket sales. And Black Panther's going to kick its ass is basically what this is saying. Which, of course, like, naturally.
Yeah, it needed to do good in those first 3 weeks because it's kind of done.
So the answer is... well,
there can only be one.
Whether I think it'll, like, will there be another one? Is really more of the question, and the answer is you wouldn't think so based on those numbers and where it looks like things are going. But then I get surprised all the time by things that did not do all that well that still get sequels anyway. Like, it sounds like Morbius is going to get one, and that's friggin' dumb.
They should call it more BS.
Oh man, that's great. Yeah. But then you can't do that because everybody will just refer to it as more BS because
exactly.
That's what it is. Yeah. Was that your joke? Did I just explain your joke?
It's perfect. I like it.
And jokes are always funnier when you explain them.
No, that was an accidental. That was an accident. I didn't mean to do that.
Then I'm glad I said it because it was wonderful, and I'm really glad that you get, like, that is some verbal badminton right there.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta hit the birdie back and forth.
And I suck at that game. I don't know about you. I can't play badminton to save my life. I
don't know if I ever have, or it's been like 20 years, so I don't know.
When I was a kid, I was like, first of all, sorry, I'm going to rant about this for a second.
Badminton break. Hold on, guys.
Who in the world came up with the name for the birdie? Like, isn't it called like a... Is it a shufflepuck or a shuttlecock or
it's a shuttlecock?
Yeah, shuttlecock. That's
I went
what
with
it is.
Birdie just to avoid the whole nonsense of that word.
Yeah. What the hell is it? Why do we come up with shuttlecock? Well, it must be a UK invention. That's the only possible explanation.
That's the most British word ever.
When I was a kid, I was like, this is nonsense. I gotta hit this ball that's not really a ball. That's got this like pointless tail on the end of it.
Makes a nice little sound when you hit it.
You never hit the damn thing. Why don't we just play tennis?
It adds an extra layer because not only do you have to hit it on the right side of it. Yeah.
I'm not coordinated enough to play table tennis. Could you imagine, though, table tennis with a shuttlecock?
Wow. Now, I'd watch that. I wouldn't play that, but I'd watch it. That sounds intense.
People actually watch this. They not only watch it, they send it money. All right, moving right along.
Badminton. I always want to say badminton, but it's not mitten, it's minton.
Wait, is it really?
It's bad minton. Badminton.
God, I'm learning things about this game I hate. I can't play badminton.
That's another thing we're going to play. Cap and DJ play badminton.
We should. Hey, have you ever played...
hit the old shuttlecock around.
Well, that's the worst British accent I've ever heard, but it was wonderful. Have you ever played... Wow, why can't I think of it? What's the game? Oh, I'm dumb. Racquetball. You ever played racquetball?
No, I haven't. That's like hardcore, like close quarters tennis.
You should go find a racquetball court. My wife played competitive racquetball in college. That was her sport. And her sister was like I think an all-stater or maybe even went international. Like, she was a really good racquetball player. Yeah. And Sarah taught me racquetball. I don't know how we got on that. Shuttlecock. Sarah taught me how to play that in college. And I enjoyed it, but she was way too fast at it. I couldn't make enough happen with it, and I don't have very good eyesight. It was difficult to deal with goggles because I had to get goggles that would fit over my glasses so I could see.
Yeah.
And that was irritating. But yeah, like it was. I forget what comedian made this joke. Maybe it was Brian Regan. But the stand-up routine about this is true. Where like racquetball is you. When you play with somebody that knows what they're doing and you're learning for the first time, it's just you get ready to hit the ball, and then the person serves, and then suddenly the ball has hit you in the face. Like that's racquetball. You didn't even see anything happen. It's just point. What the heck? What the heck was I supposed to do? It's so fast.
Oh wow, that sounds intense. Maybe we'll have to try that.
It is intense, but it's a really fun sport once you can get into it at all. And I just like the sounds those balls make bouncing off of walls. It's cool.
Yeah, there's a badminton. Oh no, excuse me, I'm mixing my ridiculous sports. There's a racquetball game in one of the very intense slow-mo like scene in one of the Bill Bixby Hulk movies. Is it Return of the Incredible Hulk? Or is it in the Daredevil one?
It must be the one I haven't seen, because I would remember that, I feel like. I don't think it's in the Daredevil one. It must be in the Thor one.
Yeah, I think it's in the Return. Like the villains are like having a meeting while they're playing racquetball. I can't wait to
finally see that.
Such a good scene.
It's back here. I just haven't done it yet.
Oh, that's funny. Alex Barron says, badminton is a very fun. I will not tolerate the slander.
I just suck at it. That's why I don't like it. I can't do it. I'm not coordinated. I'm bad at sports.
Anyway, I don't know how to segue back to this, but
it can't be done. We're gonna. You have the serve, sir.
Thank you. Shooting the shuttlecock over to Davis B.A. Soddenful, $5.
And you can have it too. I don't want the shuttlecock anymore.
Keep the shuttlecock, Davis. What would you do with DD03 or the Amazing Spider-Man continuation comic? What is DD?
Daredevil 03.
Oh, I gotcha. Look at you, right on top of it. The shuttlecock just...
And I hate acronyms sometimes, but I got that. I wouldn't have if you hadn't had that other example, but I got it. I'm sorry. What is that?
Yeah. So what'd you do with a DD03 or TASM continuation comic?
I want to say we talked about... This is probably a continuation of the conversation that we had during the What If show, or was it the show before when we were talking about the idea of movies that we wanted to see, like DC did with Batman 89 and with Superman 78 and Batman 66 and Wonder Woman 77 and all these...
Yeah, we said we wanted these, and now he's like, okay, well, what would you do with them?
Old continuities we love that we put the dates in so that we can separate them apart from everything else. So... I haven't given enough thought to this. Well, you did suggest something with Daredevil 03, which was simply, well, the first thing you do is you retcon the Elektra movie.
Yeah, no. It could be, yeah, she comes back, that's the story, but she doesn't come back and, like, mentor a little 8-year-old girl with a chain thing. I don't know what was going on in that movie.
I think, it was boring and she fought sheets. I remember that.
That was the one cool scene in the movie, is the sheet fight scene.
Yeah, because didn't I say I wanted that comic to be like Elektra versus bed sheets?
Bed sheets and broomsticks.
The obvious thing to do, but I think it would be fun, and I would probably want this, actually, which would be just a round 2 with the villains with that movie.
Yeah, because they're both still alive.
They're both still alive at the end. Daredevil's in jail, Kingpin's in jail. Michael Clark Duncan. It'd be fun to see somebody try to render that in comics, use his likeness. Have the Black Kingpin. I really like that take. It'd be fun. Because the last thing he says is something along the lines of, like, I'll get out, and so he figures out a way to maneuver himself out of prison. You really distinguish him from the TV show Daredevil and make it really clear that these are guys that operate differently, and he's probably a lot less subtle and a lot more, pile driver. Yeah,
he's more comic booky. He jumps off the front of your motorcycle and kicks you in the face and does a backflip off of it, which...
Bullseye does that.
No, Bullseye's on the bike. Daredevil jumps off the front and kicks him in the face, and then
Yeah, but I'm
flies
just
off
talking
the
about what Kingpin does. That like
Oh, I
Kingpin
see.
wouldn't be as subtle as the version in the TV show, is what I'm
Oh,
saying.
I was talking
With
about Daredevil.
yeah,
Excuse
I
me.
was talking about Kingpin with his master manipulation and stuff. But like in the director's cut, the first thing you see him do is pick up a guy with his bare hands. Like he's
No, that would be a cool continuation because that's the end of the movie. Is the word's out on the Kingpin. He's everyone knows. So like now he
yeah.
doesn't have to be operating in the shadows anymore. He can just be
Oh,
the force.
that's a good point. He's just a monster now, and he just like takes out people in the street.
He's out for revenge, and maybe you do because Karen Page is like barely in that movie, right?
Yeah.
She's maybe they start up a relationship again, and then they get serious, and then Kingpin comes out for revenge and takes her out.
That's good. I'd love a bullseye in a wheelchair. The whole comic.
I was gonna say that earlier when you because I was thinking of him. He's all bandaged up after he threw him out of the car, and I was like, it'd be hilarious if Bullseye had to wheel himself around in like in a wheelchair, but he could still throw things. That'd be amazing.
Do something really dramatic with Foggy Nelson. Maybe
I still love that Foggy.
maybe kill
I
him.
prefer
Maybe,
that Foggy Nelson to the show Foggy Nelson.
maybe
He's
your
great.
like second act plot point. You do the death of Elektra's father again, except this time it's Foggy Nelson, and it's like Kingpin with his bare hands like murders Foggy Nelson.
Jeez. And then we get really young. What's his face? Plays Foggy Nelson. I can't think of names.
Oh
tonight.
yeah, Favreau.
Yeah, really young Favreau likeness.
I don't know, man. That kind of writes itself. I actually think they'd be pretty easy to do a sequel to that.
Oh yeah, and so would Amazing Spider-Man. I mean, they set up so much cool stuff you could play with in that just.
Now wait,
The
read that
problem
acronym again, because I thought he was talking about the animated series. What was the acronym?
TASM.
Oh, okay.
That's the
When you
Amazing
said
Spider-Man.
TAS, I heard animated series.
Yeah.
TAS. Well, that just
TASM
writes itself because it was on its way. I mean,
Yeah.
you have a mourning Spider-Man with Gwen Stacy, who I would assume meets Mary Jane and is struggling to decide if he wants to start a relationship, and then he's got to deal with the Sinister Six, where just all of the villains that he's put away plus some new ones all come after him, and it's all built in the lore of what his father built. So there's sort of a Sins of the Fathers thing in there, and like that movie's easy to write.
Yeah, those would both be great. I'd read both of those. And
But I
don't
would
read comics
especially
very
read the
much.
Daredevil one. I actually don't care about Amazing Spider-Man at this point. Well, I say that like that second movie, I don't think is as bad as a lot of people do, but I still don't like it, and I'm sort of done with it. Like I'm kind of okay never knowing what happens after that. But if that comic came out, I would read it. If the Daredevil comic came out, I would rush to buy it. Like that's the difference.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I actually don't like the second one at all, but I just like the first one. And
Okay, so we're very much in agreement because I actually think that first movie, except for the fact that the origin is really contrived, I think it's the best origin, at least emotionally and character-wise, we've ever had for Peter Parker on film.
yeah, that's why it's still my favorite Spider-Man movie, just because I think obviously Into the Spider-Verse I think is better, but I'm just a Peter Parker guy.
Yeah.
But
The thing with
Daniverse,
the Kid in the Mask is just really brilliant. Like I know I said this in the rewind and everything,
Oh, yeah.
but I have to say it again because I love it. You take Peter Parker so far to a revenge place, it's hard for him to come back. Like you get the sense of what he might be like if he was his own villain, and I feel like that really proves how much you understand that character when you take him that far. Because Peter Parker, originally Stan Lee's vision for that character is he's a guy that thinks about himself first, and if he gets powers, he's going to do the selfish stuff first.
yeah, and that's why I hate when people just brush it aside, and be like, oh, it's just trying to be dark. Spider, it was too dark, literally, and like I'm like, no, they're doing something. That's the whole point of it. Like, never mind.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Get off on a rant.
No,
Daniverse.
it's exactly why the muted color palette in Superman and Lois is right for that show. It's just what I was talking about earlier. You've not seen that, so you don't know why I'm saying that, but I like it's the same thing. There's a reason for it, as opposed to Snyder just going, this character's not cool enough. I got to make him cool.
Daniverse, while we were talking about Bullseye riding around in a wheelchair, the whole comic wrote, "Ride like the wind." Brilliant.
Ride like the wind, Bullseye! Yep, that's genius. Okay, how many more Super Chats do we have? Do we have time for a pre-written Because
I've got 6.
I don't want to shaft folks.
Actually, excuse me. There's more to this one that we just started. We got off on the first one. He had 3 parts.
Oh my goodness! How'd you get it all caked in one super chat? Was it a $20 super chat?
Only $5. He's a wordsmith.
Good job.
All right.
Well, he's saying things like DDO3, and I've got to interpret it. Good.
Genius. Do you think fanfic has value?
Yes. Moving right along. No, absolutely. I've always felt weird about writing it myself, but I haven't been able to help it, occasionally, which is why I was working on a fan novel for Power Rangers at one point, and I wrote, 50,000 words, and then the comics did an origin for Zordon that did a couple of the same things I was doing, and I was really weird about finishing it, and I haven't done it, but, it's just that there's no quality control, and without putting too fine a point on it, a lot of the people that love, I'm trying to be careful how to word this, a lot of the people that love the things I love are also not readers and haven't done a lot of writing and aren't, as formally trained as you wish public school would prepare people for, just basic grammatical writing. Like, a lot of people just don't know basic mechanics. It sucks. It's really unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, just because the thing you write, let's forget the quality of it, just because the thing you write doesn't count as canon or isn't owned by the people that own that character, doesn't mean there's not value in it. In exactly the same way as just because something has a registered trademark symbol next to it doesn't make it effective or good. So, of course, there's merit to it, and I think fanfic is a wonderful proving ground, I should say training ground, for new writers. One of the best pieces of advice, speaking of crappy grammar, one of the best pieces of advice I ever heard, and I forget where I even got this from, about science fiction writing, DJ, was before you try to write your own science fiction, start with Star Trek fiction. Because that is, I don't mean read it, I mean write Star Trek fiction if you know enough about Star Trek. You don't even have to ever show it to anybody, but it's a pre-existing world that already has rules. It's already got a lore. It's already got its science built in that you probably more or less understand already, and it's got characters that you don't have to build from the ground up, so you can just practice plotting and characterization and getting characters from A to B and work on setup and payoff and all of that. You don't have to create everything in the first place. There's a lot of mechanical stuff in story writing that is kind of overwhelming, to be honest with you, even in short story writing, on a first time out, if you also have to create a whole world from the ground up. This is why it's easier, and I kind of, even though it feels maybe lame and boring to some of us when we first start out, I know I was this way, don't start with genre writing. Write what you know first, and not just in drawing from personal experience, but really with everything. Work in a world that's pre-established that you already understand, right? So when I started out, I thought it was really lame to set a story in your hometown and to base people on people that you know already. And it's like, well, that's cheating. Like, I know all this already, but nobody that's reading it does. And you don't have to invent everything from the ground up, so you can work on the difficult stuff. And then you can, do more world-building stuff once you know how to actually do the thing, once you've got a better sense of craft. So if you're going to do genre writing, start in a world that you're already familiar with. You don't care about Star Trek, write Star Wars fiction, write Buffy fiction, right? Whatever it is that you know. So yeah, I think that's the best thing about fanfic, is a pre-existing world where you can work on your craft before you start doing your own stuff. That's not to say that's the only way to do it. And like I said, writing non-genre stuff I think is also a really good place to start. And the nice thing about doing it that way instead of fan fiction, I'll say this real quick too, is you start with a really small cast, and you'll avoid a lot of kind of beginner's traps that way too. Don't write a story about 10 characters. Don't be Eternals right away. Write a story about 3 characters or 2 characters. But yeah, I think for that, and then also just what's wrong with, it's good for your imagination. What's wrong with, I've got this great idea they're never going to do, I might as well do it for myself, even if nobody else ever sees it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a way to stretch your imagination. You're not just dreaming. You're not just sitting around thinking about it. Like you put it on paper and then you get to imagine it. I mean, writing fan fiction is. I just had this thought, and now I'll probably start saying this from now on, DJ. Writing a fan fiction is an adult creative person's way of playing with action figures. That's what it's for.
And then the third part of his super chat
Ooh,
is...
I spent too long on that. I forgot that we still have more to the super chat. Go ahead.
Would you rather have Waititi or Shyamalan direct DCEU movies?
Shyamalan, in a heartbeat. Because even if it sucks, the man tries, man. Like, he's not just goofing around. Like, he's a storyteller. Like I think a lot of his ideas are kind of, you know, half-baked and too far-fetched, but he writes them. You know, like in a computer with a keyboard. He has like a plan. And then he gives, I know this is way out there, okay? But he'll go to set and he'll give actors scripts and he'll ask them to memorize lines of dialogue and then come back and then they'll film exchanges that they might have even rehearsed once or twice.
Sorry, all the TV fans who just lost. But you're not here anyway, by the way.
I'm not apologizing for that.
Oh, good one.
Hey,
all right.
Look, it works for some movies. It just hasn't worked for the ones I've seen.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And I don't know if it would work for the ones of his that I haven't seen. We had that whole conversation. I'm not apologizing about this. I don't like the way the man works.
Me neither. I don't like what he puts out. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there, but...
I don't like the way the man works based on the material I've seen, okay? Like, I feel like I can see how he got there. Go ahead.
TH1, $5. If the staff of Geekvolution were Batman-themed villains, who would they be?
Tom keeps throwing these at us.
Great show tonight, guys.
Who? Thank you.
He always has his tagline.
It's always like, what the cast of Geekvolution, like, what would all their positions be if they were on a starship? It's always these kind of questions. Okay, DJ, why don't you? We'll go back and forth. I'll throw you a person, and then you give me a Batman villain. Okay.
I don't know anything about Batman villains. I'm not the guy for this.
No, I mean, you know who some of them are. I don't know. I'm just trying to include you. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'm ready.
Well, the other thing too is when you say staff of Geekvolution, I mean, it's me and Austin does a couple shows with me and DJ does a couple shows with me, and then we have a bunch of guests that come in and out, right? Like, that's the problem. Is we have lots of folks that don't have time to work with us anymore. So like I don't go back to them anymore because I don't want people to get excited when I bring up somebody. Oh, is he coming back? No, he's not. So it's just like folks that are around right now.
Just wait till the Weird Al video. You're gonna get all these. Oh, hey, look who's back.
Okay, I'm gonna do this completely arbitrarily, and then see if people go, hey, I can see it. Connor is the bookworm.
Robert Wild says Austin is the Mad Hatter.
Connor is Gorshin Riddler because of his obsession with silent film comedy in that one Batman episode. I gotta think of the closest approximation to the welder for you. So that's gonna make you Firefly.
Okay.
I love that reaction. That was wonderful. What Batman villain am I, DJ?
I don't know. Blue Dragon 5 says you're the Riddler.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's because I kind of
you like game shows. You know, you're a narcissist.
That's true. All of these are true things. Yeah. Yeah, and I also have a dream about using the power of television to steal people's intellect.
Someone last show asked, what if you were a psychopath? So it all works.
Yeah, well, I struggled with that question because the answer was kind of yes. Like I wasn't sure where to go with it.
Yeah.
Like what if? I don't know. That's like saying what if Captain Logan had a show called the Captain Logan Show? Like, yeah. I mean, you're looking at it.
Robert Wild says Brandon is Egghead.
Just because he's bald? Well, he also likes puns and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, that's not bad.
Robert Wild also says Vince is King Tut.
Oh. Okay. I guess I can kind of see that. I would put Vince in like a gangster kind of role. I'd give Vince like, I don't know. I don't want to say Rupert Thorne, but
DJ is Scarface because he only says what the super chatters tell him to.
But that means that now after every super chat you have to say yes, Mr. Scarface. And that's... Oh, so that doesn't make you Scarface. That makes you the ventriloquist.
Yeah, you know. All right. Thank you, Tom. For
I see what you're saying.
Fun question.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it just depends on how you look at Scarface. Thanks, Tom. Okay, moving right along.
Adrian Reina Martinez, $4.99, just popped in. I would love, which means probably like 30 minutes ago, but he just popped in. I would love to hear you break down the first 10 years of what a rebooted DC should look like. Arcs, villains, adapted stories, etc.
Well, that's a whole show, right? Like that would be, and we could do a like James Gunn speculation video. I think that would be a good idea for me and Austin. To maybe come back and do another speculation cast like we did several months ago with the Batman. I would love to do that too. I'm not gonna give it to you here. Like thanks for the super chat. I'm gonna write it down as an idea, but like that's a whole video. I guess all I'll say is real quick. Hold on.
I mean, you said you wanted to start with Green Lantern. You've mentioned that before.
Yes. Speculation cast.
For the DCU.
DC first. Yeah. No, like I said, start with Green Lantern. As far as like overarching how far you get in 10 years and all of that, I mean, it's hard to know how many ongoing franchises they want to have, how many different pockets there's going to be, how many like Avengers level event films we get in 10 years. We got 4 in 11 years from MCU, and their first one was only 4 years in, so it's plausible that you can have Justice League level movies, if not Justice League movies. Like I said, probably some kind of a crisis sort of thing, and I don't know if they would use that to flat up reboot the whole thing, or just to broach, even more than Flash will, alternate dimensions and play with a multiverse with, you know, Earth 1, 2, 3, all of that kind of thing. As much as I'm sick of multiverse and the way that's been handled with Marvel, it's an integral part of DC as a universe, or as I should say, I guess a continuity, and I like the imagination that happens with. Did you crack your knuckles, or was that something else?
It was my ankle. I don't know what happened.
Wow! It just reverberated all the way up your body into the microphone.
I know.
That's amazing. Because I thought you did this, like into the microphone, and then I saw you really surprised. I'm like, how are you that surprised by your knuckles cracking? He's like, yeah, because it was all the way down there.
I just moved my foot. I'm an old man, apparently.
Well, yeah, that's why we're going to do the
grievances of old men. Rickety ankles.
But anyway, so I like a lot of the multiverse stuff in DC. I like the alternate characters, the Earth 1 stuff. There's a lot of fun to be had with that. And I think we'll see Gunn broach some of that kind of thing very likely. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm kind of, right now, having a hard time not just asking questions before I can say what I want to see from it. Because, again, his sensibilities are so not mine with the more adult stuff. And you know he's going to want to make more things like that. So it's hard to speculate until I can get a sense of, or at least come up with an idea of, maybe like how much of it is R, how much of it is PG-13. Are there two kind of sections of the same continuity where these are the ones you can take your kids to and these are the ones that aren't, and like how do we branch off and what exactly we're making? It's weird because I'm not a Green Lantern guy, but all I really want to speculate is about Green Lantern. I want Red Lanterns, like I want a Blackest Night thing. I think all of that could be really fun with his sensibilities. I think that's the stuff he's best for. And I know he's not going to be making all of them himself as a director. So then the other question is, what gets pitched to him? What do other folks want to bring to him? So yeah, but I wrote that down, and I will consider doing a speculation cast. Let's continue on and knock out the rest of these super chats if we could.
All right. Jar Jar Ed, $5. Christopher
Thank you.
Nolan loves Richard Donner's Superman. It inspired his approach to his Batman films. He could have his heart in a Superman movie project.
He also had a really bad experience on Man of Steel, and it sounded like, and maybe that's all water under the bridge, and it's been long enough now, and if he was allowed to do it exactly the way he wanted, he'd come back and do it. Like I get all of that, but that's not what I want to hear right now. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear the person that comes in and goes, I love Donner's Superman. I want to make more of that. We need to get away from that. We need to finally do comic book Superman right. And then bring the right sensibilities from Donner to it, which is to just say, make Superman Superman. Make sure he's got the right values and all of that. But I get leery, like, ever since Superman Returns, whenever anybody goes, I want to make a Superman movie. I love the Donner movies. I'm like, okay, so you just want to keep patting Donner on the back while you're making a movie and just making that movie again. That's what Singer did. The closest thing we've had when that's been said, and I've been really happy with it, is Patty Jenkins with Wonder Woman, where she kind of, in some ways, made Donner's Wonder Woman in my mind, and that's great, but she wasn't making Superman, and she had to figure out how to not just...
And then she literally made Lester's Wonder Woman too.
Yeah, and that was a mistake. Exactly. Yeah, that's the other thing is, and then she turned around and screwed up movie Superman in a way, but like that was such a tall order, and I get that that's a flawed movie, but I really like it. It's a tall order to not only... She didn't have to just invent Wonder Woman for screen when that was a character that had not had her own movie before, and there's so many different iterations of that, and there's a lot more different, like, starting places with Wonder Woman than we've ever had with Batman and Superman. Like, Wonder Woman arguably doesn't even have a definitive origin in a way that those two do. Like, sometimes she's made out of clay, and sometimes she's not. Like, Batman and Superman don't have that. But not only did she have to do that, DJ, she had to take somebody else's vision and make sense out of it. Because it didn't make any sense. Or it was at least kind of counterintuitive, I guess. So, anyway, but I digress. That doesn't excite me. Like, maybe he'd make a great movie, but I want somebody to come in and go, I love Superman, you know? And I've got my own vision, my own way of doing that. Again, if Vaughn came in right now, Matthew Vaughn, and went, okay, now that we've got Gunn, maybe I can make my Superman, I would be so excited. I think he is the only person right now of, like... I don't know if I want to say old guard, but just like middle-aged or older director that I would be over the moon if I found out he was going to make a Superman movie. Beyond that, again, I just want new blood. I just want new creators that haven't done a lot, that have fresh ideas, and aren't, are still kind of wet behind the ears and idealistic and haven't been bogged down by the industry yet.
Can we just make a deal, James Gunn, that all of the DC movies moving forward are just going to have opening title credits origins, like Incredible Hulk? Can we just like get it out of the way in the opening credits and not make origin movies for any of the movies that he makes? That would be great.
Well, I don't think they're going to start over is the thing. Like, wholesale. Especially if the next thing is Waller's on trial. Like, they're still stuck with baggage, right? So I don't think you're going to see a lot of origin movies because most of the characters that they're going to play with, they already have in some capacity, right?
Yeah, I hope so. That's the hope. Even with Marvel, I wish they would have kept going that way. Like, why couldn't, when Infinity War happens, we just go to Doctor Strange? Like, let's just go see him, like, and then we get like a quick sentence where, oh yeah, I used to be a surgeon and then I messed up my hands and I
could not agree more. Yeah.
And then now I have these magic. Now I'm the Sorcerer Supreme. Like we didn't need an origin for. I mean, the movie's fine. I like it. It's pretty fun. But like
I do too. But you're right. You've established a formula with Iron Man where you've gone, well, because that way, and that worked wonderfully. And I would not say I wish, I don't know about you, I would not say I wish that movie wasn't an origin movie. I think it's a wonderful origin movie. I think it's one of those like exceptions that proves the rule. It's a case by case thing, and like you need Iron Man and Batman Begins to show you how to do that right. But the problem is it's a double-edged sword because once they become the standard, oh, they've all got to be origin things, and you get studios that get kind of weak in the knees when we start suggesting we make things with pre-established characters, where they go, oh, people are going to be confused.
Yeah.
You just start with the core in the first place.
Yeah, most of these could be handled in that's the other thing about movies these days. We don't trust the audience to hear things anymore. Like we don't, like you can just tell things. Show don't tell is a different thing. You don't have to literally show everything. Like every time someone says something in a movie these days that's happening in the past, we have a flashback to show it. Like, can we just say that? Oh, there's like a space force. There's the police force in space for one person for each planet.
Dude,
like you can explain it in a sentence.
Too much of a bad word now. In a way that
it's gone. Be. Yeah, it's gone in the complete other direction.
Yes, there's boring exposition, and yes, there's a lot of things that you don't want. You don't want forced exposition in dialogue. That's different than exposition in dialogue. Sometimes you need that, and there have been scenes that I've been riveted by in movies, DJ, where people are just explaining things to each other, but through, in like a really unique way that only they can do. And then I'll see a review, and somebody will go, man, that exposition scene went too long. And I went, you went to school and somebody told you to say that.
Yeah, like if they're talking to a character in the story that makes sense that they would be telling them that's fine. It's not taboo to do that. Like old movies used to just be
fast rule, and
like storytellers.
It's holding the audience's hand too much.
Yeah, I had to watch like an hour, like a 45-minute scene in Snyder's Justice League of war happening with Zeus and all. I'm like, you could have just said a sentence.
Why do we need any of that? Yeah.
I don't need to see any of that stuff.
Well, and that's corporate crap too, because you're going, well, the audience really wants to see Darkseid, and we're not going to give you enough in that movie. Well, if you want to tell a Darkseid story, tell a Darkseid story. Otherwise, like drop that and then go, oh, he's coming, and it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, that was super boring to watch
so
a scene with a bunch of superheroes that I don't even know from 1,000 years ago just fighting. It was weird.
Man, I can talk about
how cool would it have been? How cool would it have been if we're like, we didn't know anything about Doctor Strange. We got that one drop in in Winter Soldier where he says Stephen Strange is out there, and Infinity War, like, oh man, we need to go to Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme. Like, this is our first
you name dropped him in a way that sounded like he was already a superhero in Winter Soldier. When he's like, oh, Stephen Strange, and then that's just a hand surgeon? Why does that guy, that SHIELD agent, even know who that hand surgeon is? What?
There it is.
I'll never stop doing it. Okay, we are about out of time. What else do you see there?
Senior Sticks, idea for a Geekvolution segment.
Yeah.
DJ announcements.
What, where DJ just announces things? So we don't need a segment for it. The problem is that has to happen organically.
Yeah. I don't do any planning for those. They just come to me in the moment and I just say them.
Yeah, the segment happens when it happens. I mean, I think the better way to go is we just have a title card and music for it, and whenever you start announcing things, I just press a button. It just got DJs announcing things.
That'd be amazing. That's perfect.
I won't sing it, though, because that'll piss somebody off.
No, we don't like it when you eat on camera or when you sing on camera.
Yeah, people don't like it when I do anything on camera. I'm like, what do you guys want from me? Like,
just ramble on camera. That's what we're here for, to hear you ramble on camera.
Yeah. It's like they don't even want to see me anymore. From now, we're just going to do the show like this.
Welcome to the Captain Logan Show, the podcast.
Yeah.
We're going to watch every episode of the Captain Logan Show and talk about it on our podcast.
And we don't have to worry about we wouldn't have to worry about copyright infringement because we own it, but I'm still going to make you sync it up with us. Everybody press play. Right now. Anyway, how many more super chats do we have right now, sir?
We have 4.
Okay, Plushies DX says he's famous. Okay, yeah, within the circles of surgery. But there's lots of famous people that I've never heard of. Name 2 famous snowboarders. I can't do it.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, name any famous doctor right now. You can't do that.
I can't name a single doctor. I can't name any doctor I've used in the past.
Like, beyond, beyond I was gonna say the famous doctor that like made all the decisions during COVID and all that. I don't know if you could name a doctor right now.
No, I can't.
I can't even think of his name right now.
I couldn't name a surgeon. I couldn't name.
That's what I'm saying. Can you name an Olympic swimmer?
I just wish they would have went all the way. Like, I wish they would have had the guts to make that movie set in like, obviously, if they were going to make a Doctor Strange origin movie, it should have been set like a long time ago. He's just been fighting things because that's what he does. He fights things that no one sees, demons. Like,
it's so easy to have in the background in the same way that you did the original Ant-Man. There's no reason he couldn't just be around.
He could have been around, and then Shield knows about him obviously because it's Shield, but like no one else has to. I don't know why that had to be set in 2016. And I thought it wasn't. When I first saw it, I thought it was set in the past because there's that weird scene where he like talks about some guy who was in an Iron Man suit that got his like spine broken that seemed to line up with Iron Man 2. I was like, oh, this is awesome. They're lining it up, setting in the past. But then apparently that wasn't true. So,
and it still would have been weird because you'd go, oh, okay, so S.H.I.E.L.D. knows that magic is around. But then Fury seems very surprised by there being anything from space. But then that gets even weirder with Captain Marvel. And then, because he's, even been to space. And then you go, well, then why did Thor have to kind of try to root itself in science fiction? But, like, we already have all those problems now because we've been dealing with magic. So I'm saying this retroactively, but, like, you might as well just say, oh, yep, magic is real in this universe, and then move on.
Jar Jar Ed, $5. No, Morbius 2 has been officially announced. However, Venom 3 is officially happening, and we all caught up. Are we all caught up now? Good. Oh, so no Morbius 2? Well, that's a bummer.
Oh, did it get officially not announced? Because I thought they were still kicking around trying to make that.
I guess it's not official. His point is it's not officially announced, but I guess they are talking about it.
No, and I don't think I said it was. I was just saying that they're talking about it like maybe they'll make that. If I said that, I misspoke. Like I don't think that's been actually announced, but I'm also just assuming that happens.
Yeah.
I don't trust it won't. Venom 3 is apparently being directed by one of the writers of those movies, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What ball of goo is he going to fight in this one?
I hope he fights a planet. He won't fight a planet. I want Venom to go to space.
Venom movies are just going to be like a procedural. Like, it's just a TV procedural where he fights a different...
You're so right.
Venom at the end of every movie.
Yeah, and it's just going to be street level, and they're never going to go far enough with the sci-fi comic madness. And I just want a different setting of any kind. Except for maybe the desert. I don't really want Venom in the desert. But beyond that, because they'll do that. It'll be Agent Venom, and it'll be like, this isn't even Agent Venom, and it'll be terrible. And I don't want to talk about this anymore. Let's finish up the Super Chats.
TH1, $2. Are you allowed to say shuttlecock? It's not even after dark, LOL.
Yeah, because it's one word.
It's a sports term.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, can I not say cockpit?
Yeah.
Can I not say Dick Grayson?
Cockney? Or
Cockney?
Cockeyed?
Cockfight?
Or cocky? That cocky Captain Logan. He's always...
Cockeyed?
Yeah, there you go.
Cocker Spaniel?
There's a lot of them.
The answer is yes, I can say that. And also it's my show, so I can say whatever I want to.
Yeah.
But...
name two famous shuttlecocks.
I'm to a PG-13 place these days, man. Like, the world has gotten so crazy. I don't know how to not mildly swear now. I'm sort of in that place. I'll occasionally get a comment where it's like, oh, wow, Captain Logan's gone
rogue.
Hardcore. He says hell now.
Hardcore.
It's not even
Captain
really swearing
Logan.
in my world at this point. But, yeah. And also, like, let me say this real quick, too, about the language thing. So... I've always tried to hold a standard for being more or less family friendly, and like I don't want to go, hardcore R. I've always wanted to open it up so that anybody can watch us.
Yeah.
Our demographic for the under 18 crowd is 0% now. We have no kids watching anymore. Actually, we still have lots of kids watching. They just all grew up. It's a lot of you guys that were there a decade ago that grew up. We have no 15, 16-year-olds anymore, much less any younger than that. I mean, a few months ago, it was 0.2%. Which means it was like one guy. It's 0 now. I don't feel so bad about Hell and Damn now. There's, like, we don't have children watching.
Yeah, we can look at the analytics.
They're simply not there. They don't care. Dagan Spear says, come on, you were abusing the word, guys. Well, it's your problem if you think that we were intentionally being overly sexual or something. I think it's a funny sounding word, so yes, I kept saying it. But not because that part of the word was in there. I just think it's a stupid name for a thing you play within a game.
Yeah, it's a weird word.
It's a weird word. So yes, you're right. We were overusing it, but not for the reason you think. So I'm standing by it.
Senior Sticks, $2. Blame Smallville. I wish to explore a Kansas cave.
I do for most things. Do you know how, I mean, have you noticed how often I say, like, the CW? They're about to not even have shows, and I'm still going to say it. I'm sorry. What was the rest of that? I'm excited.
He says he wishes to explore Kansas caves because of Smallville.
So they're just not going to be as interesting. Well, I say that. They're not going to be as accessible as the Kawachi caves in Smallville. You're not going to just, like, randomly fall in. Well, we do have caves here. It's true. You can go pay to go in them. Certainly. I mean, there are some good caves around, yeah. There are better ones in Missouri, I think. But yes, that is not a thing Smallville got wrong. There could be a cave. I don't know if there would necessarily be a cave like right under a small town like that, but near one, sure.
Yeah. I looked up my demographic because I was interested after you said that.
Yeah.
70% of mine is 25 to 34-year-olds.
Yeah. That's not
25% is 35 to 45, and then 4%. I have 4% 18 to 24-year-olds.
Yeah, but you're not going to have anything under that.
No, of course not.
And also, like, you're building your own audience, so I'm not trying to take that away from you, but a lot of your audience is also my audience.
Yeah. Some of it, although I don't hear from them anymore. It was kind of during the beginning.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm wrong about that.
And this cannot be exactly right, because I've heard from a couple people who are like 60-year-olds that have left comments specifically saying they were 60, and it says 0% on that one. So I don't know how accurate those things are.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Well, and then like how many people watch but don't sign in? I guess if they comment, they have to have a sign in.
Yeah, I wonder how many people you have to get it to 1% though.
That's a good point. But they'll break it down to like 1.2%. So
yeah, they do the 10th. Yeah, 70.7. It's fun. It's interesting. It's fun to look at. I don't know how much I actually look at it to like make decisions, but it's cool that they have that.
Robert Wild says Cap doesn't know how to be hip with the kids these days. That's true.
That is true.
That's true. I mean, it just boils down to, I don't think I'm terrible with children, but the stuff I want to talk about is not what kids are into anymore. Yeah, like when I started,
different kind of content.
Some of you guys that were teenagers when I started were reading comics. Teenagers don't read comics anymore. The vast majority of them.
I also think it's the long form videos is an age demographic.
That's true. I mean, when I was doing more scripted content, we probably still had a few younger people that would watch us, but then they probably need to be even a lot shorter. Like
I even think that's long. Yeah, I think
45 minute stuff. Yeah, like if I kept rewind to 10 minutes, the demographics would probably look quite a bit different. I imagine.
You're going into whole different audiences when you do that.
Yeah,
I mean, shorts are taking over now, and they're like less than a minute. So
yeah.
Let me see. Jar Jar Ed, $5. Okay, Henry Cavill, grow the Superman mullet. Okay, VFX team, now make Henry Cavill's hair look like traditional Superman. Wait, why does he have to grow the mullet if the VFX team is going to change it?
For like 2 different movies, or I don't understand what he means by that. It would be weird to have Henry Cavill grow out the long hair now, because we already did Death in Return. And he didn't have it when he came out of the grave in either movie. Right?
Yeah.
He didn't have long hair, did he?
Because it was just a color change on the suit.
Yeah.
That he did after the fact.
I know. We argued about it, and it turned out you were right about it, and it pisses me off. But okay, let me ask you a question. Was it a color change in the first movie? Because we had a black suit in the first movie, too. Remember that dream sequence with the skulls?
No, I think they actually had that suit like separate.
Then pull it back out and use it.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Did that have the silver S on it? I can't remember. I think it did.
It was kind of, but it was still muted. It was kind of just like the same suit but colored differently. It wasn't like,
you think they actually built it?
Wristbands and
to be that color. Wow, we still got some super chats coming in.
Yes, we do.
Past 2 hours. We're going to knock these out as quickly as possible, guys.
All right, the great and powerful Dodd.
Yeah.
Just wanted to clarify, the first trade of Black Hammer is Black Hammer Secret Origins.
Thank
Please
you
read
for
it.
that. No,
LOL.
I noticed that when I was looking at the wiki. I said that. That was the first thing I saw, but I noticed it had a 2 next to it, and that confused me. So yes, I will make sure and read it where it starts when I look at it. But thanks for that. So because I won't actually read it in trade. I'll look at the singles in digital, and so I'll see wherever the number 1 is or the 0 or whatever, wherever that starts. But what was the end of that super chat? I'm sorry.
He just said, please read it. LOL.
I do want to. I am curious about it. I'll at least sample it.
And here we go. Another what if from Utale. What if Geekvolution had done DC Mania? Where would the channel be? He didn't say that. That was me.
The exact same place is the answer to that. I can't tell you why Marvel Mania did the numbers it did. It doesn't make sense now, and it didn't make sense then, and I'll tell you why. So go back and look at some of those numbers.
Oh yeah, I've seen them. They're insane.
Let me say this real quick too. As a content creator, I kind of hate that term sometimes, but as a person that makes videos on the internet,
as an influencer, Cap, how do you feel?
I really hate that. So I make videos. That's what I do, and
he's told it to the court.
Sometimes you'll. I did tell it to the court. Sometimes when I relax, I wasn't going to court. I was almost on jury duty. They asked me what I do. I had to break this nonsense down.
I watched every Marvel movie for a day for months.
I got paid for it. Don't ask me how.
It's the best thing I ever made on internet. Most successful thing I've ever done.
You'll get self-conscious sometimes because you'll go, why do these particular videos have so many views and I'm not making that content anymore, and like I'm tanking my channel because I'm not getting all the views I used to. Sometimes that might be true. When you go back and look at Marvel Mania, those are blind commentaries. We do those still on a regular basis. We didn't prepare for those. It was a crazy experiment where we put out a video every day, and I think we skipped a few, but it was crazy daily content. And that might have had something to do with it, where people just noticed it more because they were being shoved out the way they were. But you cannot account for some of those view counts. The best viewed video on the channel is one of those, I think. It's not a rewind. And we intentionally really half-assed those. Like, a couple of those have 2 to maybe even 300,000 views. I forget, and I don't know why. But then we did Batmania, and it did not do those kinds of numbers. It did pretty well for us, but they weren't averaging 30 to 50,000 like Marvel Mania was. I can't begin to tell you why that did the numbers it did. So the reason I say it would be in the same place is, well, we did the same thing with Batman, and it didn't do the number Marvel did. So if we said DC Mania, I don't think it would have made a difference. And I don't know why Batman didn't have this effect, if I'm right. But DJ, I always thought it hit the algorithm, and for some reason people thought they were clicking on the movie. If you back when you could look at thumbs downs, a lot of those had a bunch of thumbs downs. It wasn't more than the thumbs ups, but they get like 30, 40, 50 thumbs down, some of them, if memory serves. And I don't think it was because like Eric and I were doing any worse of a job than we've ever done. I think it was a lot of new people who were like, this wasn't what I thought it would be.
Yeah, I think it was a comment. Wow, weird. The Punisher one and the Spider-Man 2 one both have 222,000. It's like,
and they still get hit to this day a lot. That's why they have that many.
I think it was a combination of those two things. I think it was because you were putting them out every single day, they got pumped into the algorithm more because they were getting, and then the clicks were just kind of snowballing, and people saw the runtime and saw that they were 2 hours and thought that there was actually like the movie. And which is dumb because
I'm pretty sure we wrote commentary in the title.
Yeah. But there's always that thing on mobile where, you know, part of the title gets cut off if they just see Marvel Mania Day 13, Spider-Man 2, and they see the runtime. Maybe they click on it. I don't know.
And it doesn't say commentary in the thumbnail.
No, it's just a screenshot. I don't know, man. I mean, we can try to speculate, but it's crazy. It's just a mystery.
Brandon Hembry, I think partly Batmania wasn't as successful just because it was mainly animated stuff, so slightly more niche. Yeah, that's true. But it's not like we weren't getting those views until we got to the MCU stuff. Like, even the really obscure stuff got hit real hard. Man-Thing has like 30, 40,000 views, I think. Why? I slept through half that video. Not really, but I felt like I did.
Man-Thing has 4.3 thousand.
Oh, okay, it's less than I thought, but that's still nuts. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. No,
I
that's
can't
cool.
remember what. There were a couple of things that were very obscure that got 20, 30,000 views, and I was like, why? Why does Punisher have 225,000 views? Isn't that like '04 Punisher? I have nothing to say about that movie. Like, without watching it first. Anyway.
All right, let's see what we got here. Jar Jar Ed back again. Okay, Ben Affleck. Be Batman. Okay, VFX team, replace Ben Affleck with Christian Bale.
I can't comment on these comments. I don't know why he's saying that.
I really don't know where he's going with these.
Is it because we're talking about Nolan making a... I'm sorry, I've got no context for your comments.
Help us out, Ed.
He's making jokes, and I want to laugh at them, but I don't understand them.
The shiny cool Ranger, $2.
Ooh, hi. That's a name I don't recognize.
Yeah, welcome. Enjoy. Enjoy our answer to your question. Hopefully it's good. What scary movie were you terrified by as a child?
Yeah, well, my go-to to this has always been The Brave Little Toaster, which I know doesn't sound like a movie that's intended to be scary. Go watch it. That is a scary movie. That's a scary movie as an adult. It's bizarre. It's not. It's scary for different reasons.
We need to do Brave Little Toaster Mania. There's like 3 of them.
I had nightmares about that. I had nightmares about the I want to say mostly the scene with the toaster being in a bathtub and getting a knife stuck in it, and it electrocutes. And then there's the wall unit, the furnace wall unit that with the voice that's doing like a really creepy Jack Nicholson impression. Like, that movie is messed up. It's creepy.
And the vacuum cleaner like eats his own cord and like gets stuck in his sucks it up his own cord.
Yeah. And then John Lovitz is a radio, which is not scary, but I just want to mention that John Lovitz is a radio. Beyond that, probably as far as things that are intentionally kind of scary, like this isn't a horror film. Like, actual horror films I didn't really see until I was a little bit older, but I'll throw out a couple more things that just came to me, DJ. One is Disney's The Witches. Oh boy. That messed me up.
I tried to watch that. That's the Roald Dahl adaptation.
Yeah.
We tried to watch that this year, but we didn't get around to it. We kind of started and something came up. We didn't finish it this year. It was on our Spooktober list, but we didn't get to it. But yeah, it was weird and dark for even the beginning. I only watched like 10 minutes of it, but yeah, it was weird.
It's dark. Yeah, it's crazy. And then I saw Mommy Dearest too young. And The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Both of those when I was like
sound terrifying.
9 or 10. Yeah, so there's a few examples. Do you have anything?
I don't think so. I think Snow White, when I was really young, really scared the bejesus out of me with the witch. I never watched scary movies. Obviously, like my parents, we weren't into horror, and I never saw any of them until I was like an adult, really. But I would catch things at my cousin's house that was on, like little bits of. Like I saw a little bit of Jeepers Creepers, and it horrified me for like weeks. Ugh.
You said horrified now. You just swallowed your own tongue.
I did, man. It was horrifying. The ending of that movie is just like a head with eyes plucked out of it, and you could just see straight through the head. Ugh,
I've never seen that.
Me. And then also there was I think it was Maximum Overdrive. I actually don't know what movie it was, but it was like a steamroller running over people and like a Coke machine shooting cans at people.
That's Maximum Overdrive, yeah.
Well, Did you see
the part with the lawnmower chasing after a child?
No, I just saw bits and pieces of it, and I left the room. But the one clip, it was like an electric knife started like cutting someone's hand. There was like blood all over. I was like, I'm out of here. Get me out of here.
Did you see the
Can't do knives.
Did you see the Green Goblin face on the front of the?
No, I've seen that since.
Yeah.
But no, I just saw like bits and pieces of it as a kid. Like
my dad and I did a commentary for that movie on the channel last year. You can go listen to it.
I should probably watch that whole thing through just because I only have like these little images burned into my kid mind. But yeah, that was weird.
Starred Emilio Estevez.
Good old Emilio.
Good. Matthew Bass. Sorry, Matthew Bass says Judge Doom freaked me out. Yeah, absolutely.
Is that from Roger Rabbit?
Roger Rabbit, yeah. And when I
Yeah, I'm sure
killed
there's
your brother,
things.
I talked just like this.
Yeah, I'm sure there's things I could think of. I could probably put together a list, but I'm not thinking of them right now. So they didn't scar me too much.
Oh, that's good. I got scarred by lots of stuff. Senior Sticks quoted one of the movies I mentioned and said no wired hangers. I must not have been the only kid that was really, really traumatized by that scene.
That's the only
It's
thing
not
I
even
know
a
about.
horror movie. It's just a woman who's abusive to her children. I couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, that's the only thing I know about that movie because you've mentioned that before. Is the wire hangers thing?
And I agree with Dagan Spear too. He says, "Call me crazy, but I miss when children's movies were willing to scare children." Yeah, depending on the context, absolutely. That was the thing I just mentioned was not a children's film, but yeah, I'm with you.
Mutale, another super chat. When are we getting Aquaman and Wonder Woman 84 commentaries?
Eventually is the answer to that. I don't have plans for specific commentaries right now. That's one thing that's kind of on my to-do list for next year is to try to carve out time to do more regular superhero commentaries. Possibly to line up more with specific rewinds. I'm not sure yet. Right now, the problem is there's not enough days in the week for all the stuff I want to do. Austin and I have really been enjoying the Friday potpourri show because we get a lot of different things done there that we'd never do, and we have a big list of things we want to accomplish. But because we're doing that, I'm having to sacrifice a day that I could otherwise be doing a regular series that I know people would like. So I've been real conflicted about it. And he and I need to get back to Simpsons because people were really enjoying that. And we tried to get season 4 done last month and it didn't work out, so hopefully that'll happen soon too. But that's part of why we got to do that Friday show is we want to get back to those. But DJ, in a perfect world, I would be doing superhero commentaries twice a month, like we were doing with Marvel Mania, and I would be doing weekly vaults and doing that on top of like the request got more popular than I expected it to as far as, I mean, the actual view counts on those videos are hit and miss, but as far as people wanting to request things, so we had to make it a weekly show, and because of that, I don't have a night for Vault. And so I've got those couple of things that I wish I could do every week or twice a month that I haven't found a place to put. It's even difficult right now to do new movie reviews. I'm having to put them on the weekend when I'm supposed to be off. So
Yeah.
I think what will probably happen, honestly, is at some point we may start making this show, and we already did a commentary, DJ and I, a couple weeks ago, but we may start doing what we were doing with Marvel Mania and making the Tuesday show twice a month a commentary so that we can get more commentaries in, and that might be where those will go.
Yeah, we could even maybe start doing that towards the end of the year, holiday season, when live
Yeah.
streams start slowing down a little bit. We can go to
As
one
long as
once
you
a
don't
week.
mind doing some superhero movies that you may not know right now or may not care about. And they don't have
I
to
think,
always be superhero, but I want to do.
yeah.
I would eventually like to have, and with whatever co-host, I'd love to have you. I'd love to have Austin. You guys are both great for this, but I would love to have a commentary for eventually every movie, or at least most movies I've done on Rewind. And there's a bunch of them I've never done a commentary on.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of them that we've talked about doing. I think Aquaman would be a really fun commentary. That's a great movie to watch and talk over. I don't know about Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah.
That would be interesting, but
Especially
Aquaman would be.
you and I both line up exactly on both of those movies, I think.
Yeah, Aquaman's just goofy and fun to
No, I mean Wonder
to
Woman
laugh
in
about.
'84, where you and
Oh
I
yeah,
both
yeah, yeah.
really like Wonder Woman, and we were both
That's
really.
actually we did the first one, so maybe that is a good.
That's
it is
why
good
I'm
for us
saying
to
that.
do
Yeah, we
one,
should do that together.
Because we both really really liked the first one, and that would be a. So we were kind of disappointed in the same way. I know you
This
had
is
a
the
better
question
experience.
of: Are we saving other Marvel movies MCU movies we haven't done yet, for an eventual Marvel Mania, or are we just gonna bite the bullet and say, yeah, that's never happening? We're gonna have to have that conversation because we can't decide if we want to commit to the Disney Plus shows.
Yeah.
I think DJ has made that decision for himself.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it would be fun. It's fun to do anything with you. I'll talk about anything with you. You know that. But it's just a lot. Like we already have more than enough for a phase 3 at this point, especially if we're doing the shows.
Yeah.
Let us know. We should put out a poll. and see what people think.
Let me read Jar Jar Ed's super chat here real quick, and you didn't have to put in a super chat to say this, man. I appreciate it, but and my apologies for not getting what you were saying. But he says, "I'm making fun of the money wasted on CGI in modern movies. Oh, half the gun props in the MCU movies are CGI, even in medium shots and close-ups. No joke. No, that drives me insane. Also, yeah, it's weird because people get mad at me, DJ, when I say it's lazy to do that because they go, "Oh, well, you've got these visual effects." Artists that spend hours and hours on this. It's not lazy. Yeah, it is. It's not lazy for them. They're being paid to do a job that they're and in a lot of cases we're hearing unreasonably being forced to work too many hours, and it ends up being almost like sweatshop labor. It's preposterous. It's awful. I'm not calling those people lazy. I'm calling the writers and the directors lazy. Or whoever makes those decisions, the producers and executives that half decide what the movie's going to look like before they even pick a director. With Marvel, we'll just we won't pay to have things on the day. We'll shoot a lot of things on green screen that don't have to be. We'll just, when the answer to everything is do it in post, you're basically saying we've got these worker bees that will do it all for us. And yeah, it's lazy. Sorry. No, I hate that. It's not fair to those people, and it doesn't look good on film half the time.
Yeah, it's complicated. I wouldn't even, I don't know if lazy is the right word. I think it's mostly just a result of the breakneck rushed pace that they have to do these things.
Okay.
Like that's what they're saying. They're like, we don't even have time. Like we have, this has to be out. We cannot push the date because we have another one coming in 2 months. Like this has to be out right now. So we do it the quickest way we can.
Yeah,
and honestly,
don't rush movies out like it's YouTube content.
Yeah, that's the problem, I think. I mean, obviously, and that's why
even right.
The VFX are being super rushed. In those kind of instances, like if you're not going to have the time to set up the lighting so that you can and take all reference for the VFX artists, it's honestly easier and better looking if you just do all of it in VFX, because they have no lighting reference anyway.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to take out the prop guns that you have and put VFX digital ones in anyway, because the lighting, they can't match the lighting. So it's all time. Like obviously if they had all the time in the world, everything would look much better.
Yeah. And the problem is, if those movies are performing and they really are getting ahead and making a lot more money because they're putting out that content, all that content, and it's not hurting their bottom line.
Yeah, why would they?
Look as realistic as it should. Then they're not gonna put art over their bottom line. But that doesn't mean I can't complain about it, and that doesn't mean that it's not also, again, really unfair to the worker bee. Visual effects people. Jar Jar Ed says we used to call this a waste of talents, and that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like what Robert Wilde said too. He says we really took for granted how good blockbusters used to look. Well, they used to be events too. They weren't what's in the movie theater. We called them that because it was a big deal when they came out.
Yeah, now we get one every month. Several.
Sometimes it feels like every week in the summer.
Oh yeah, for sure in the summer.
And then we get them, out. And I guess you could say that this was kind of true in the 90s too, but I think there were even movies that I would think of as kind of smaller action movies now that these days we would, kind of think that back then we thought of as blockbusters. And now everything's got to cost $100 to $200 million. It used to be a big deal when a movie cost that much to them. And inflation, whatever, but
yeah, that's part of it. But yeah, there's definitely a ton. I mean, there's just more of everything being made these days. But yeah, there's a lot. We got one more.
Okay.
From
Thank you guys so much, by the way, tonight for your support and for the variety of questions. It's been a really fun show.
It's been a great show. Thank you guys. Mitale, how many dislikes did you get for the No Way Home spoiler cast? And how do you distinguish a piece of fiction that is profound and one that's pretentious?
Okay, I don't want to start a precedent since you can't see my back end and they don't show you the thumbs downs. I'm curious, so I will look it up now. But
Awesome.
I'll tell you because it'll be interesting to find out. But I reserve the right to never answer this question again for anything else. Not because I don't want people to know how much people don't like me, but because this will be boring for people if we have to do it every show. Hey, how many dislikes did you get on this video? I'm not going to answer it every time, but I'll answer it this time. Let me find it for you.
Yeah, and I think he just brought that up because we talked about a lot of dislikes on some of those Marvel.
Oh,
Manias.
absolutely. No, and it's a great... Well, but that's not even a Marvel Mania.
Yeah, no. It's obviously something very different, but
he's talking about the spoiler cast for No Way Home, right?
Yeah, just the topic of...
I mean, yeah, people were mad at us, sure. Details. I don't even know on desktop where the thumbs up, thumbs down thing is. Give me a second. I should have just pulled it up on my phone because I know where it is there, but...
I've never looked at where it is now.
Is it in engagement, maybe? Yes. Okay, I'm seeing the percentages so far. 72% thumbs up, so we got a fair number of thumbs downs. 44 to 91 likes. 91 likes, 44 dislikes.
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, I get that.
I think that's pretty good. I would expect a lot of people to, but it's our audience. Like they know. It's not like, I mean, if new people came in, they might have been more upset, but yeah.
Alex Barron says, just get the YouTube dislike extension for Chrome. Works great for me. You know, honestly, there's a part of me that really doesn't mind not seeing it all the time. Like, I don't mean to be like it affects me too much emotionally or whatever, but like, I don't know. It's kind of nice not dealing with it all the time. I do look at it occasionally in the analytics, but
yeah, there's a nice percentage right on the main content videos, like off to the right that I look at, but
okay,
it's usually pretty about the same.
There was a second part of that question which sounded like a thing that might take longer to talk about than I want to right now, trying to end the show. But what was it again? And I can just hit it real briefly. Maybe we can lead with it next time or something.
Okay. How do you distinguish a piece of fiction that is profound and one that's pretentious?
Oh, you know what? I feel like we've answered this before. Maybe not. And maybe kind of recently.
I think he's asked this a lot in the regular chat, but
Is that what it is?
I don't think it's ever come up. I've seen this one. I don't know if we've talked about it.
Well, I'm a broken record, man, but it's a lot easier to answer this kind of question when we're talking about a specific example as opposed... There's not like a blanket statement answer to that. Like what you see as profound versus pretentious is all about concept over execution. It's about what the piece is trying to accomplish versus whether it's actually managing that. A thing comes off pretentious when it feels like it thinks it's smart, but you can see between the seams, right? That's kind of the difference. And also, I think that there's a middle ground too. Like, a thing is not either profound or pretentious. A thing can also just, be and make a make a statement or have a message or whatever it's trying to do and do it well and make it kind of fresh again, but it's not necessarily profound, you know what I mean? Like, there's lots of superhero movies that are about a lot of the same things. Like last night with Mystery of the Batwoman, we talked once again for the umpteenth time about the difference between justice and revenge. Lots of superhero movies are going to be about that. If it handles that well, is it profound? Not necessarily. It might just, restate the thesis as well as it's been said in the past or better, right? Batman Begins, I think, is profound in what it has to say about the various way fear can be used as a motivator or as a weapon, etc., etc. Dark Knight, I think, is maybe profound about like the potential like natural anarchistic part of people's nature and the question of whether or not we're actually civilized or if we're just civilized for a matter of convenience. But I'm trying to think of like another another example with specifically like a Batman thing where it makes a statement okay, but it's not like profound about it. Like Batman Forever is not really profound about anything, but it's finally, you know, kind of about Batman in the first place. And so like, I don't know, thematically that movie it's okay, but like it's not profound, but it's not pretentious if it's, you know, not, if it doesn't work necessarily either, you know what I mean? So it's just case by case.
Mm. Yeah,
I didn't come up with like the best possible examples there, but anyway, we're right at the end of the show. Thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. I hope you had a good time. We'll be back with you again on Thursday for another one. Once again, don't know what the lead-in topic's going to be yet. We'll see if any interesting news happens between now and there. Tomorrow night, Austin and I are doing another request. It's on, I'm forgetting right now, an 80s comedy. I will post in the community tab, let everybody know what that movie. It's Night Shift. Night Shift is that movie. We'll be doing that tomorrow. I'm gonna watch that right after the show, and then Friday night, the Weird Al biopic, and Sunday, Wakanda Forever. So big week for us. Thanks a lot for watching. It's gonna be madness, I tell you. Anyway, I hope everybody had a good time. We certainly did. DJ, any final words of wisdom before we leave everybody off for the evening?
Oh, no, I still can't think of two famous doctors. And I still don't know how to play badminton.
Okay, I gotta be honest with you. I didn't find that especially profound, which means it must have been pretentious.
So pretentious
of
me.
Pretentious.
It's one or the other.
Thanks a lot for being here, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye, folks.